one for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
Good morning. It's Friday, June 30th. From the City News Broadcast Centre, I'm Victoria Williston. Right now in Ottawa and Smiths Falls, both are under that special air quality statement. In Ottawa, we do still have a smoky haze blanketing the city, 21 degrees, feeling more like 26. And in Smiths Falls, we have the same conditions. Here's what's making news right now. Canada Day is just around the corner. City News reporter Chris Curries joins us now with what you need to know.
The country's biggest annual party once again back at Laprade Flats with dozens of performances, including by Jan Arden, taking the stage throughout the day, culminating in the fireworks at 10 p.m. And official activities start at 9 in the morning. Now, if you're trying to get down there, road closures in the Laprade Flats area will generally start at 6 a.m. If you're taking transit, OC Transpo is offering free service tomorrow, but a reminder that Pimsey Station will be closed at points. Most malls and stores are closed except for Rideau and Tanger, and museums are free tomorrow. Visitors are also encouraged to keep an eye on tomorrow's air quality. Chris Curry, City News.
Meanwhile, the air quality in Ottawa, it is expected to get worse today before getting better on Canada Day. Saturday morning, the air quality will be sitting at a 6, which is considered moderate risk for pollution, but it is expected to get a little bit better by the afternoon. Smoke is drifting south from the forest fires in Quebec as well as here in Ontario, reducing visibility and creating hazardous conditions for people with breathing issues. One person is dead after a shooting on Caldwell Avenue last night. Ottawa police were called around 9:30 to the Carlington neighborhood. Paramedics on scene were treating one person for life-threatening injuries. Police tweeting later that that person died in hospital. There was a heavy police presence in that area following the shooting. Meanwhile, Ottawa police are still asking for your help locating a missing 44-year-old woman. Nicole was last seen 3 weeks ago on Russell Road around 2:30 in the afternoon. She is described as a black woman with shoulder-length black hair. She was last seen wearing a pink top and black pants, a large pink purse, and a black backpack. Police and her family are concerned for her safety. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is being asked to call police or Crime Stoppers. City News time, 10:03. OC Transpo says its recruitment push has made the system more reliable, but the search for new drivers has been a bit more of a grind than it was expected. City News reporter Jason White explains.
OC Transpo's latest update highlights no major O-train disruptions since April's freezing rain mess. And OC Transpo's Troy Charter says it is canceling fewer bus trips.
As a result of the consistent, sustained recruitment efforts that Madame Amelkar and my colleague Olivia McGinty have previously discussed, we've seen a reduction in the incidences of bus cancellations due to employee shortages.
But fewer than half as many recruits are completing the process as they expected. OC Transpo's Olivia McGinty tells the Transit Commission there's no one clear answer.
Being a bus operator in theory is different than being a bus operator in practice, and the training program is very rigorous.
Ridership is also on the upswing. Buses around 75% of 2019 levels, while O-train ridership is only at 43% of what it was before the pandemic. Jason White, City News.
City News time, 10:04. Day 3 of the strike by Hydro Ottawa workers. They're walking the picket line until a new contract is settled with the company. Some of their counterparts of Hydro One have just signed a new deal. 2 bargaining units within the provincial power provider reached an agreement of a deal until September of 2025. These workers are frontline and customer service. Ratification votes still have to be held. City News time, 10:04. Time for City News weather. Here's Jill Taylor.
Showers and thunderstorms in the forecast at times for today, tonight, into tomorrow for Canada Day. And wildfire smoke could still be an issue for some. 26 a guaranteed high will feel like 29, 18 for the low, and near 28 tomorrow will feel like 32. More scattered wet weather Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday. For today, the guaranteed high, 26.
Right now in Ottawa and Smiths Falls, both 22 degrees, feeling like 28. I'm Victoria Williston. For News Anytime, follow us online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, hello, everybody. It is Canada Day weekend. We're so excited to be with you today. We're going to have a little fun today. We've got a very special lunch for you today. You will not want to miss it. We're hoping for some giggles and some laughs as we head into this long weekend. And we have a couple comedians joining us to talk all things Canada. We wanted to get connected today with Sean Simpson, Senior Vice President of Ipsos Public Affairs. Hi, Sean.
Good morning.
Wonderful to be here, of course, as we head into Canada Day weekend. As I mentioned, we're talking about the pride of being Canadian. This has certainly shifted over the last number of years as Truth and Reconciliation. Canadians are learning more about our history. Certainly, I was never taught about Indigenous affairs or anything like that when I went to school, but we're learning now, Sean, and I think Canadians are kind of opening up their eyes. Has that affected their pride in this country?
Yes, it seems to. In fact, 4 in 10 Canadians are, I guess what I would say, re-examining their relationship with Canada. And what's interesting is that half of them, so 1 in 5 Canadians overall, say that their pride in being Canadian is in fact increasing. And in equal measure, another 1 in 5 Canadians say that their pride in being Canadian is decreasing. So we've got these diverging paths where some are taking a more introspective approach. And as a result, that's having an impact. And others are doubling down on the belief that, Canada is a great place, and they're even more likely to show their pride as a result.
And when I think about the amount of sort of education I've done for myself over the last couple of years in terms of Indigenous relationships and Indigenous history, it has opened my eyes. So I'm very proud to be a Canadian. But that education piece, are you seeing a lot of people sort of saying, "Hey, listen, I think it's up to myself to educate myself"?
Yes, definitely. We're seeing in the results here that 4 in 10 Canadians say they're more likely to learn and want to learn more about Indigenous history in Canada compared to 5 years ago. And that is being driven by women and among millennials and Gen Z. Nearly half want to learn more about Indigenous history. I mean, I'm a leading millennial. I'm only 40 years old, but as you said, I can't really remember learning anything critical about settlers' impact on Indigenous communities here in Canada. What we learned was sort of almost a romanticized notion of fur trades and canoes and things like that, but nothing about more recent history of residential schools or anything like that. And older Canadians, boomers, for example, are much less likely to say that they want to learn more. And I don't know if it's just, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or they don't want to learn, or they think they're too old, or they don't want to have, their beliefs of the last 60 years, overturned or questioned. But there's a really significant divide here based on generation, with younger people feeling less proud than they used to be, but more willing to learn about Canada and its Indigenous history.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you talk about how you learned that. That was the curriculum for myself as well. And when I think about it, I mean, I was born in 1971, so I sort of went through school right up until the 80s, and there were still residential schools open in the 80s. I mean, that's even hard to get my mind wrapped around, right into the 90s. So it's interesting to sort of see where all of this is playing out in terms of educating people, and certainly my daughter knows. She's 15. She knows way more about Indigenous issues than I did.
And I think also, sorry, just to say, I think it's also being brought out of the schools, right? And we're seeing it more in community events and at our public libraries, and rallies or powwows that are being held by communities, but that are open to other people to come and learn and to be part of that reconciliation process. Younger people more likely to want to learn about these things outside of the traditional schooling system. Older people less interested.
For sure. Lots of people thinking about heading down to LeBreton Flats and celebrating Canada Day, of course, here in the capital. People travel all across Canada, and internationally we have people come to celebrate. What did you find in terms of how people were marking the day?
Well, the celebration of LeBreton Flats is amazing. I live in Kitchener, but I've been down to Ottawa once or twice to participate in Canada celebrations, and they're incredible. And what we're finding here is that about a quarter of Canadians say they're more likely to attend a Canada Day Festival than they used to be. Roughly quarter say they're less likely to attend a Canada Day Festival. One of the things that could be seen as contradictory in the data is that younger people are more likely to say that they're going to attend a festival. They say, well, younger people are more social anyways, so they're more likely to go out and celebrate with friends. But what I think we're seeing in the data here is that the ways in which people are going to celebrate or commemorate Canada Day are different, right? And so maybe there is a component within their commemoration of Indigenous history, or maybe they won't go to the fireworks display, as a sacrifice. So even though they're participating in events, I think the nature of those events is in flux a little bit, particularly for younger people.
Really interesting. Let's talk about our flag. I mean, I think back to our time here in Ottawa, and I'm sure even though you're from Kitchener, you know what happened in January, February of 2022, and the so-called Freedom Convoy, and how the flag was sort of represented during that time. It was not a positive time in our history. There's no two ways about it. Let's talk about how we feel as Canadians about the flag.
Right. Well, of course, that great symbol of Canada, the maple leaf, recognizable around the world, and a quarter say that they are more likely to display a Canadian flag around Canada Day. 1 in 5, a little bit less likely to do so. I think there's still pride there, and in fact, Canadians are more likely than they used to be to want to speak positively about Canada to others around the world. But that flag is that sort of quintessentially Canadian symbol, and it is the instant differentiator for us between Americans, and there's maybe a pause, a reflection, maybe almost a timeout, to think about this and examine the role of that flag. And we've always been more modest in our celebration of the flag than Americans, and I think this is just yet another aspect to 2 in 5 or 2 in 10 Canadians saying, maybe I'm not going to display it quite as proudly this year. It doesn't mean that I've given up on it or that it means less to me. It's just an acknowledgement and a sacrifice that we need to, maintain the sanctity of it, and it can't be weaponized for political purposes.
It's so interesting. Every Canada Day and every Flag Day, I always think about a woman by the name of Joan O'Malley. Joan O'Malley is from this area. Her father was working on the Hill, and he came home and he said, listen, we've got to sew all these different flags for people to decide what the Canada flag is going to be. And Joan sewed that very first Canadian flag. We have her on the show a lot here through the year, and she talks about sewing that flag, and it's just I always think about her during this Canada Day, because it's such a moment of pride for her to have had that moment, for sure. Absolutely. Sean, thank you so much for your time today.
It's been my pleasure.
Appreciate it. Sean Simpson joining us today, Senior Vice President for Ipsos Public Affairs. We have a big show for you today, but we're hoping to have a little fun today as we head into the long weekend. Maybe you've started your long weekend already. Maybe you're running to a grocery store or maybe the liquor store to get some stuff heading into the long weekend. We're going to educate you about all the stuff happening in your community. We're going to spend some time today with Barbara Cartwright, CEO of Humane Canada. There's been some very big movements on the humane front in terms of the way that animals are used in testing for cosmetics. We're also going to spend some time with my good pal, Anil Jolly. He's my colleague here at City News. We're going to talk about the week that the news brought us. We're going to be talking all things Canada with him as well. And Stephen Clark's going to join us today, National Executive Director for the Royal Canadian Legion. Not just talking about veterans on Remembrance Day. We can remember them all year long. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.
I am Gagwege. My name means everything.
Tom Longboats.
I am Wolf Clan, Onondaga Nation. I've run many different races. I've run to survive and to be free. I've run to win for honor.
His people might be lazy, but this one's damn fast.
My people respected our runners, people who carried important messages from village to village.
I need a guide to the next post. Dispatch carrier, sir. I can get you there.
God sakes, man, slow down. Who do you think I am, Tom Longboat?
No, sir. I am.
Running makes me feel alive. It's everything.
Tom Longboat was the first Indigenous person to win the Boston Marathon. He ran his way to international fame and became an inspiration to generations of athletes.
Today, I helped a senior find transportation to an important medical appointment.
Today, I helped a new mom find virtual programming so she didn't feel so isolated.
Today, I helped someone understand new government supports.
Every day, 211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, certainly we spoke a lot about Bill C-18 over the last number of weeks, and it seems like Google Meta is doubling down. We wanted to spend some time today with Daniel Chai, professor at the University of Toronto. Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Daniel, for those that may not have been following Bill C-18 as closely as you and I, give us a bit of a summary of what this bill means for Canadians.
Well, it's Bill C-18 was passed by the legislature in Ottawa, and it is meant to help generate revenue. It's effectively a link tax so that large tech companies like Google and Meta, Facebook, will pay a link tax on any links to legitimate news, Canadian news content. So if Facebook and Instagram or Google are pulling up links to City News or CBC or any of the legitimate news organizations in Canada, then a tax has to be paid.
And certainly they're not happy about this. They're indicating they're going to pull all that content. What will this mean, do you think, for Canadians?
Well, it's not good. I mean, there's a reason why quality journalism costs money. It takes people to vet content and to investigate stories. It's not the citizen journalism that we see where people are trying to take their phones out and just film things. There's a cost to creating good quality news, and we've seen this where we've had Bell Media recently announced a lot of layoffs. Toronto Star is now in merger talks with Post Media because both companies are struggling in terms of trying to stay in business. And in the course of the last 15 years, we have lost 450 news outlets in Canada alone.
Wow.
And a third of all Canadian journalism jobs have been lost during that same time period. And that is because Google and Facebook together, studies have shown this. One study out of Carleton showed that 80% of all online advertising is controlled by a duopoly of Google and Facebook. So that is why a lot of these newspapers have gone out of business. A lot of these news media in Canada has gone out of business and elsewhere is because they can't compete with that.
And we understand it's to the tune of close to $10 billion. I mean, this is not small money. We know Heritage Minister Pablo Rodriguez is really very strong in his stance. He's indicated he's not budging. That these companies have to come to the table with some money. But nobody seems to be wanting to move here.
Well, it's part of this is a game of chicken, because if you look at Australia, that's where Canada effectively copied this law under the Australian model. They implemented similar legislation, and in that case, what happened was it forced the big tech companies like Google and Facebook to negotiate with news publishers in Australia to come up with a deal. Now, in this case, the government has other options. Another option they can do in terms of a links tax is Google is making a big deal about the uncertainty of the amount of money they would have to pay. Some estimates say up to $300 million for Meta and Google combined to try to compensate Canadian media. But in fact, what they could do is they could just implement a straight tax requirement that these companies pay a certain amount of money towards journalism and Canadian news outlets based on a percentage. There's a number of ways that the government can go about getting this revenue and creating some type of cost certainty. So it seems to me that Google's just trying to raise a lot of big stink here to just not pay the tax.
Well, and we've seen this with Mark Zuckerberg before. I mean, he, as much as he doesn't seem to like the limelight, he certainly likes the company being talked about a lot. And I don't think there's been more discussion about Google and Facebook and Instagram more in the last 3 weeks than ever before. This has really become something that the Canadians that have been following this story closely are nervous about. And what's ironic here for me, Daniel, is that this is an American company dictating what Canadians see. How the irony is there for me.
Yeah, well, the problem is that this has been going on for a long time. And the reason we're in the situation we're in now, where this legislation has come out, is because government is late to the game in addressing the dominance of this duopoly of Google and Facebook. And the other thing that's interesting is in the United States, there's been a number of antitrust lawsuits filed by state AGs and also the federal U.S. government. Canada, has had many problems with a lack of competition in terms of allowing big tech to dominate, and so this is a necessary measure. And it's interesting that Zuckerberg is all talking about going into a cage match with Elon Musk. But he's afraid of appearing in front of Canadian parliamentarians. Canadian parliamentarians have called him to come and speak before committee, and the man has refused. So it sounds to me that these big tech companies like Facebook act with impunity. They, in fact, some of the terminology being used by critics is they try to intimidate governments and by doing things like this, where Facebook and Google are saying they're going to remove access to legitimate news, which actually, could have great potential for social harm, in addition to the misinformation and disinformation that their digital platforms help promote.
Right. And we certainly have seen that. I mean, even if you sort of weave in what's happened in terms of foreign interference into our elections, I mean, you weave those two things in together, and it certainly should make Canadians very nervous.
Well, yes. If you don't have access to the Fifth Estate, which is a independent, strong news media, Canadian news media, then you're certainly going to be prone to foreign influence. You're going to be prone to misinformation and disinformation, which is intentional misinformation of people. And that undermines your democracy, that undermines your institutions, and that creates social discord. And what is this all for? Well, Facebook, Meta, and Google, they're doing it for money. They're doing it for money, and because they don't want to pay a tax to compensate for the damage that they've done to the legitimate news organizations in this country. So it's a very damning indictment on their behavior that they're willing to do this.
It's really disappointing, to be honest with you. I appreciate your time today. We're going to continue, obviously, to follow this story. Daniel, thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Daniel Chai joining us today, professor at the University of Toronto, talking all things Bill C-18. We appreciate it very much. When we come back, we're going to speak with Laura Walton. She joins us here quite a bit on City News. She's the president of CUPE, Ontario School Boards Council of Unions. We're going to be talking about a new role that she's pursuing. We're also going to have an opportunity today to get caught up with Andrew Holland, national spokesperson for the Nature Conservancy of Canada. We're going to be talking about wild parsnip. Is it in your community? I got a note on our community Facebook page the other day indicating that that there's some wild parsnip near us, and we want to be cautious about that. Andrew's going to give us all of those details. And we're thinking about Canada Day, of course. Stephen Smith is thinking about your pets. He wants them to stay nice and safe. Of course, we're going to talk about fireworks with Stephen Smith from the Ottawa Humane Society. Lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
My name is Karen. I'm here with my best friends Shane and Monique. Join us on Rogers TV for Fitness Faction. Every week we're going to take you through a full body workout. We've got strength training, we've got cardio, we've got HIIT. Ladies, let's get back into it.
I think we've got 10 more skaters. Let's go.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
Good morning. It's Friday, June 30th. I'm Victoria Williston. Right now in Ottawa and Smiths Falls, both under that special air quality statement. In Ottawa, we do still have a smoky sky, 23 degrees, but it does feel warmer at 27 with that humidity. And in Smiths Falls, 22, feeling like 28. Here's what's making news right now. Canada Day just around the corner, but some people may have to change their plans due to the poor air quality. Right now, we are sitting at a 6 in Ottawa with that smoke drifting south from the forest fires in Quebec and Ontario. You will find in some cases it does reduce visibility, and it also creates hazardous conditions for people with breathing issues. A second shooting in the Carlington neighborhood in as many days has left another person dead. Police were called to Caldwell Avenue last night around 9:30, where they located one person with life-threatening injuries. They later died in hospital. No suspect information has been released. And Ottawa police are asking for your help locating a missing 44-year-old woman last seen 3 weeks ago on Russell Road. Nicole is described as a black woman with shoulder-length black hair. She was last seen wearing a pink top and black pants, a large pink purse, and a black backpack. You can see a photo of Nicole up on our website, ottawa.citynews.ca. City News Time, 10:31. I'm Victoria Williston. For News Anytime, you can follow us online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, we've certainly talked a lot about the labor movement here on City News, and we've spoke many times with Laura Walton. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Laura Walton is the president of CUPE, Ontario School Boards Council of Unions. You hold this title. You're looking for a new title, Laura. What's that?
I am. So I'm very proud to announce that alongside my team, I will be running for the president of the Ontario Federation of Labour in November.
And give us a sense, what's the mandate of the Ontario Federation of Labour?
Yeah, so the Ontario Federation of Labour represents over 1 million workers in Ontario, and we're part of the Canadian Labour Congress. And, you know, the mandate is to bring workers together. And I want to be clear, not just workers who are unionized, but also workers who are non-unionized, precarious workers, gig workers, and really, you know, move forward on issues that are important to workers, fair wages, safe workplaces, paid sick leave.
So a lot of these issues, Laura, that I've spoke with a number of union bosses, including yourself, over the last little bit in terms of those that are thinking about going on strike. We know right now Hydro Ottawa is on strike. We know that what we went through with PSAC. I mean, this has been a lot of sort of changes within the labor movement, and because of course COVID caused a lot of sort of differences in the way that people are working as well. Talk to me a little bit about the, you know, what you're hoping to accomplish.
Well, I think what we're seeing right now in the labor movement is, you know, workers really finding their voice and engaging and centering workers in the voice, you know, and saying we've had enough. And workers are in our communities. Our communities are workers. And we know that when workers have enough money to be able to put food on the table, to put a roof over their heads, that it strengthens the community. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more pushback, because as workers are being pushed down, we know that the 1% is just growing even more. And so what I'm seeing right now, you know, education workers, we saw it in the fall, you know, PSAC in Toronto, Children's Aid Society workers, you know, are looking at taking a strike as well. I think what we're seeing is workers speaking up and saying, you know what, our labor has value and we deserve the respect. We deserve to have safe workspaces. We deserve to be able to put food on the table. We deserve to be able to pay rent. And these are things that haven't been happening. So it's actually a very energizing moment because we're also seeing workers that are non-unionized coming together in their communities to support workers who are unionized or to become unionized themselves, like we've seen in Amazon, we've seen in Starbucks, you know, really across the province and around the globe.
And what I've noticed, Laura, is every time I speak with union bosses when there's either a strike pending or there's something sort of happening within the labor movement, about half of it has to do with money and about half of it has to do with working conditions. And of course, that hybrid piece has really sort of been brought up a lot more because of COVID. So that always surprised me. I always sort of thought it was always going to be all about money, but safety, as you brought up as well, it's really interesting to see what the demands are in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing that, for education workers, violence in the workplace, in our schools and in our hospitals is a key issue. Workers are really pushing to say, safe working conditions for workers provides safer working, safer conditions for students, for clients, for patients, everywhere. And so really what we're seeing is workers really leading the way to make our communities better places.
So tell me a little bit about your background, Laura. I mean, we've talked a lot, but I don't know your history. Give us a sense of where you've come from.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Belleville, Ontario, actually just outside of Belleville, Ontario in Tyndonega, where, I left and, actually lived in Ottawa for quite a time where I worked for the Kelsey's Corporation, and I also worked for the Bear in Ottawa. I did a radio degree when I was at Loyalist College and worked in radio for a period of time, and then decided to go back to school to become an educational assistant just about the same time that my daughter was born. She turned 21 in just about 2 weeks, and decided then, I would really like to get back into school. My dad is a retired principal, and that was my first I thought I would be doing is working in education. Went back and worked as an educational assistant with students with a variety of needs and loved it, but then found I had a passion for supporting workers and supporting my community, and so started locally and grew to become the president of the Ontario School Board Council of Unions, where I've been for almost 5 years. And now I'm putting my hat into the ring along with my team of Ahmed Gaid, who is the Secretary-Treasurer currently of the OFL, and Jackie Taylor, who is a member of the United Steelworkers as the Executive Vice President, to bring the labor community together even more and ignite them for the power that they have inside.
Laura, thank you for that. That was great to kind of get to know your background a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Premier Doug Ford, because Premier Doug Ford, when he's on the election trail, certainly he is all about the worker. He says he's all about, the guy that gets up and the gal that gets up every morning and heads to work. Do we see that in his policies? Do we see that in the way that he's dealt with education workers? Do we see that in the way he's dealt with nurses and other workers in this province?
No, I think, it's very hard for anyone to believe that he's working for workers when, right off the hop in November, the first thing he wanted to do was rip away the constitutional rights of workers using the notwithstanding clause with Bill 28. But I think, working for workers was working because he was out talking to them. And what we're starting to see is a shift where people are like, I'm not buying that. You're all talk, but no action. And I think that's, really what we're starting to see. And we saw that with the Olivia Chow campaign, right? His endorsement meant nothing. His comments meant nothing. It was people getting out and speaking about the real issues, really centering people in what they needed. That was important. And I think that's what we're seeing is, you can't say you're working for workers and yet use taxpayers' money to yet again appeal Bill 124. You can't say that you're working for workers, but take away paid sick days. You can't say that you're working for workers, but fail to invest in education and in healthcare in a way that will actually support workers. I think he works for workers that are going to help those who are surrounding him, but he is really ignoring so many workers in this province to his own detriment, I believe.
And it's so interesting because I've spoke with, I can't even tell you how many nurses, and including, of course, Dr. Doris Grinspun from the Ontario Registered Nurses Association. And when I think about all of the conversations I've had around nursing, I mean, they have been through so much during this pandemic. You would have thought that would have been an easy thing to do going into the election, repealing that bill, but doubling down on that, I think Ontarians are really interested to find out why the legal fight here.
Absolutely. And I think, you can't call people heroes one day and then disrespect them the next. And that is what's happening currently in our government. We saw so many workers, including our healthcare workers, nurses, people working in factories, really during the pandemic, putting themselves at risk in order to keep our economy going and in order to keep us all safe. Routinely we're seeing them disrespected. And you're right, Bill 124, that was an easy win. And so I would really be interested, we're still fighting over mandate letters. So I'd be really interested in, who is advising him that this is a really good choice. Because I think, workers are done. They want a voice, and, we talk about union bosses, but to me, there are 1 million union bosses in the province of Ontario, more than that. Every single one of those workers has a voice that needs to be heard. And I'm really looking forward with my team to be able to amplify those voices and to ensure that workers are getting what they need moving forward.
Well, we understand the big election, of course, is taking place this November. I suspect Laura Walton will speak again soon.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Laura Walton, joining us today, president of CUPE, Ontario School Boards Council of Unions. We appreciate Laura's time today, of course. When we come back, we're going to speak with Andrew Holland from the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Stephen Smith is also going to be here from the Ottawa Humane Society, and we hope you're here. Stay with us on Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Sometimes, for a wish to come true, it takes a kingdom, because together we're stronger. Tied tight, united we stand, in honor of one child's wish, to fuel the fire that will grant many more. Join the kingdom.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Are you low on food? Struggling to pay the bills? Overwhelmed by life's challenges? When you need support but don't know where to turn, just dial 211. 211 connects you to the programs or services near you.
211, how can I help you?
211, help starts here.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
$20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hey, getting ready for that long weekend. A lot of people took today off and made it a 4-day weekend. So I'm hoping that you're hanging out with friends, maybe family this weekend, maybe heading to one of those incredible Canada Day celebrations that we have from Canada. There's lots of happening in the Valley as well. We know Barrhaven has a big celebration every year, and we're going to be speaking to the organizer of the Barrhaven celebration, so you can get all of the details there. A lot of people heading downtown. And heading to everything Canada. We wanted to spend some time today with Andrew Holland. How are you, Andrew? Oh, I'm so sorry. We have Stephen Smith on the line. Stephen, how are you?
I'm great, Sam. How you doing?
Good. Communications manager for Ottawa Humane Society. And Stephen, when we think about Canada Day, we think fireworks. Many of us with pets go, oh, I'm a little bit nervous about what it's going to mean for Fido. Tell us a little bit what we should be worried about maybe in terms of fireworks this celebration.
Well, absolutely, Sam. As many pet owners will know, pets can react really badly to loud and sudden noises. For instance, the vacuum cleaner, many folks will know that's a terror for the cats in their house.
Right.
But then, of course, we do know that some pets are very calm, very confident, and they might not react that strongly to those smaller sounds. But in the case of fireworks, though, just how sudden and how loud they are, even that confident animal can still get spooked by them, and that can result in them bolting and potentially getting lost and just running away in general. So we're hoping that pet owners will take some caution to avoid that this year.
For sure. And we've seen, sadly, I used to work at the Humane Society a million years ago, and we used to see, and we still do, people that night saying, oh, we took our new puppy, or we took our 10-year-old golden retriever. It doesn't really matter. We don't know how they're going to react, and they take them to the fireworks, and like you say, they bolt, and then it's not a fun night at all when we're trying to find our pet in the middle of the night.
That's exactly right. And of course, one of the things that pet owners can do to prevent that from happening, very easy step, is to just avoid going to fireworks displays with their dogs. That way you don't have to worry about that bolting, don't have to worry about the sudden scare that they might become. And then if, say, you're staying at home as well, too, there are still things you can do to help your pet stay a bit more calm and a little bit more controlled on the day. So that might be, say, putting them in a crate padded with blankets to help dampen the noise a bit, perhaps putting them in a quiet room like the basement or the bathroom just while the fireworks are going off. And then if they enjoy having your company around, of course, spend some time in there with them just to reassure and make sure they're doing okay.
For sure. How is everything at the Humane Society these days?
I would say wildly busy, Sam. We have a ton of rabbits who are in desperate need of adoptive homes and foster homes, and I'd say we have rabbits coming out of our ears, quite frankly.
Okay, well, you know what they say about rabbits.
I know too well what they say about them.
So tell me why the influx, do you think?
That's an interesting question, and we have a couple of theories. It's hard to pin down an exact cause, but right now what we think is going on is that there might be a case of, say, folks who wanted to have, say, a dog during the pandemic when, of course, dogs were huge, but couldn't get one, might have decided to get a rabbit instead. And they might have then said, oh, yeah, it's good to have 2 rabbits, right? So then they got 2 rabbits, didn't get them spayed and neutered, and then, as you had already mentioned, rabbits did what rabbits do.
Right.
And unfortunately, too, we have seen this happen because the rabbits that are coming to us are coming in large litters. It's not just 1 or 2 rabbits coming in at a time. It's 10, it's 20, it's a whole bunch.
Wow. And what about cats and dogs?
Cats and dogs, we do have lots in our care right now. We are in the height of kitten season, so it really is one of the busiest times of year for us. I'd say it's still relatively normal to what we would see at this time, but normal is still very, very busy.
And Stephen, give us a sense. We know that you relied a lot on fosters through the pandemic. Is that still the case?
Oh, absolutely. Our foster volunteers are absolutely amazing. Between, say, giving an animal recovering from surgery a nice temporary home to rest and recover in, to helping animals who have some more challenging behavior needs get the hands-on care that they just might not be able to get in the shelter, or even, say, just giving that animal who's maybe a bit stressed out in the shelter just that break that they need to really relax and just live their best life while they wait for their forever home. Fosters can be real lifesavers.
And if we head onto the website and maybe we're looking to adopt a dog this summer and make it our new furry family member, what's available right now?
Oh, we have plenty of dogs, plenty of cats, and plenty of small animals available. So if you are looking for a new forever friend, there are plenty of animals who would love to come into your home.
That's wonderful. It's certainly great, all the work that you're doing. And I know you've got lots of different programming as well. Walk us through some of the opportunities for programming.
Oh, sure thing. So we do have some fantastic dog training programs. We offer group classes and we offer private training as well. And we do have a really exciting initiative starting just next week. I'm sure a lot of parents know, but we have summer camp kicking up throughout July and August, and it all kicks off next week. So we have some really exciting stuff going on here at the OHS.
That's amazing. Well, thanks so much for the reminder about dogs, particularly around this Canada Day and around the fireworks. It's always good to mention, especially if someone's got a new puppy and they're all excited to head out as a family to Canada Day celebrations. Best to leave that dog at home.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Stephen Smith joining us today, Communications Manager with the Ottawa Humane Society. We appreciate that very much. I'm very excited today about our lunch. We always invite a couple of community members in to talk about the news of the day, but we decided to take this in a bit of a different direction today. We're going to have hopefully some laughs over lunch today. Colin Mockery is joining us today. We're so excited. And of course, local comedian Pierre Burrow is going to be here as well. So I know those guys. We're going to have a great lunch with them. And it's been lots of fun to put the show together today. And we're working really hard on our Canada Day show, which is going to air tomorrow. Aaron, you've worked really hard on this show.
Yes, it's a very special show, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We reached out to a lot of notable Canadians and said, do you want to spend Canada Day with us? And we got a resounding yes. We've got Brittle Star, of course, Stuart Reynolds joining us, another comedian, and we have a number of other people joining us. I always look forward to my discussions with Grant Hooker from Hooker's Beaver Tales. He's always a hoot.
Oh, yes, and Beaver Tales are just the most Canadian business there is.
Absolutely. So you're an American boy.
I am.
Yes. And how long have you been in Canada now?
About 2 years.
Okay. Well, you've been here at this show. So how long have you actually been here? You've been here about 8 months or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So we love having you here.
Yes.
You add so much to our show. But I want to find out, how Canadian have you become since you've arrived here? Okay, so I have a little bit of a quiz for you.
Sure.
No pressure.
Yep.
No pressure. Okay.
Hopefully the government's not listening.
There you go. La, 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 la. Okay, Okay, yesterday we had Ryan Smokin on from Smoke's Poutineery.
Yes, how could I forget?
He was hysterical. I had to listen back to the interview because I got the giggles halfway through that interview. He was awesome. He was certainly energetic and looking forward to lots of poutine, of course, down at Le Breton Flats. So my very first question for you, have you eaten poutine?
Yes, very first thing I had in Canada was poutine at the airport.
There you go. Okay. Have you been up the CN Tower?
No, I have not.
Okay,
done that.
so no points there.
No.
Okay, scared of heights. Okay, have you played ice hockey?
Yes. Grew up playing ice hockey from Minnesota.
Okay,
so
that's okay. We're good there. Have you eaten a beaver tail?
I've eaten plenty of beaver tails.
Plenty. I'm assuming, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you been to the Calgary Stampede?
No.
Okay. Have you gone snowshoeing?
Yes.
Okay.
I tried snowshoeing, tried running, and fell flat on my face.
There you go. Why am I laughing at that? That's awful. Have you seen a whale?
I have, actually.
Okay, tell me about that.
I went a little whale watching tour up by Chicoutimi on the Saguenay River.
Look at you.
I didn't know there'd be whales there, but there was I saw 20 or 30 fin whales.
Wow, that's amazing. Look at you.
Yeah.
Have you tasted real maple syrup? Like Earl Stanley's Old Maple Farm real maple syrup?
Yeah, I think.
I'm a bit nervous about that, yes.
I'm not getting
but
Buttersworth anymore, but
no.
I don't know for sure.
Oh my God. If I ever see that you're buying that, you'll be in trouble. Have you paddled a canoe?
Yes, I like to be a little bit of a canoe princess and just sit in the back not paddling. But,
okay.
I dip my paddle in.
Then we have something in common. That's fantastic. Have you said sorry for absolutely no reason?
If I have, I haven't realized it.
Okay. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah,
That's okay. And have you been on a mountain and a beach in the very same day?
Does Gatineau Park count as a mountain?
Not really, but we'll go with it.
Okay,
We'll give
yeah.
you a point.
I got the Eastern Ontario version of that.
There you go. I love it. Okay, a really important one here. Have you drank Canadian Club whiskey?
No.
Okay. Well, plans for the
Know what
weekend.
I'm doing for this. Yeah.
Plans
yeah.
for the weekend. Well, you did quite well, actually.
There we go.
Yeah, impressed. Very good. We appreciate, of course, everything Aaron brings to our show today. Our friend Noah's off today. We're hoping he's feeling okay. He's going to be back with us on Tuesday. We're getting ready, of course, for that big Canada Day show. We're going to be sharing that show with you tomorrow. I hope you maybe tune in as you're heading to your festivities here in the region. Lots going on. There's obviously big party happening in Canada, big party in Barrhaven always, and then a very big party happening at Pineview. We spoke yesterday with a representative from the Pineview Community Association. They're going to have something for the kids there sort of between 10 and 3. So that sounds like a lot of fun. So lots happening in our city for Canada Day. And of course, lots of people heading down to LeBreton Flats to experience all things Canada. Jan Arden, of course, I try to work Jan Arden into every conversation I have. Big fan. She is headlining tomorrow, so you'll want to be part of that. We spoke with Melanie Boudreau, of course, from Canadian Heritage about everything happening for Canada Day. So lots of sort of things you need to know. Obviously, bring some water, bring some snacks. There's gonna be lots of porta potties down there if you're heading that way as well. Public transit is really the name of the game if you're going to be heading down there. Not a lot of parking. Everything sort of gets locked up around 6 o'clock and you're in the morning and you're not going to be able to park very close to the festivities. So taking public transit is going to be really important. So that's an important part of the big day tomorrow. We're doing a little bit of a staycation. We're going to be heading to the Brook Street Hotel and just kind of staying a bit cool, using the pool there, eating some great food. So we look forward to that. Minister Neil Lumsden's going to join us in a little bit. He is the Ontario Tourism Minister. We're going to talk to him a little bit about tourism in this province. What is he seeing past sort of as we've gotten through this pandemic? Is he seeing those numbers pick up? We know that Ottawa relies heavily on tourism, but so do so many other parts of this province. So I always enjoy my conversations with Minister Lumsden. And as I promised, Daryl Bartraw is going to join us as well, President of Canada Day in Barrhaven. He has a very big job there, so we look forward to speaking with Daryl and getting all of the details. You'll want to stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
It was John's graduation. We were so proud. We all got together for a picnic. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and we listened. It helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of John, because now he has a real future to look forward to.
Hi, I'm Paula Roy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back into my kitchen for another season of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. My approach to food is pretty straightforward. Fancy is fine, but when you're in a time crunch or have a really hungry and patient family to feed, I say simple recipes made with wholesome ingredients that you probably have on hand are the best. And that's exactly what you'll find on Paula Roy's Favorite Foods on Rogers TV.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
Good morning. It's Friday, June 30th. I'm Victoria Williston. Right now in Ottawa, we are under that special air quality statement, 23 degrees, feeling more like 27 with that humidity. In Smiths Falls, 22, feeling like 28. Here's what's making news right now. Canada Day celebrations are just around the corner, and City News reporter Chris Curries joins us now with what you need to know.
The biggest Canada Day party is back at LeBreton Flats for a second straight year. Here's Melanie Bro with Canadian Heritage.
LeBreton Flats opens up at 9 a.m. where we start inviting our festival goers to come down and start getting ready to celebrate.
The daytime show's around noon. The evening show starts just after 7, and then the big fireworks display is at 10. There's also smaller Canada Day events like the one in Canada. Here's Colin Laycock with a taste of what to expect.
We get started at 10 a.m. We have the Family Fun Zone, which has got bouncy castles. We have a pirate ship coming in to do pirate shows. We have arts and craft tent being put on by the Central Canada BIA.
They will also have fireworks at 10 o'clock. A note for Canada Day, OC Transpo is free, museums as well. Most stores are closed, and there's going to be lots of road closures downtown. Chris Curries, City News.
And it is one of the busiest travel days, both north and south of the border, as Canadians and Americans take a patriotic long weekend.
Tomorrow is Canada Day, Tuesday, American Independence Day. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth. CNN's Pete Muntean says it's expected to be the biggest travel season south of the border since 2005.
When you add in air travel, add in people traveling by train and by car, 50 million people traveling 50 miles or more between now and after the holiday.
The biggest advice from Canada Border Services is plan ahead and have your travel documents handy. Caitlin Lees, City News.
City News time, 11:02. Toronto Raptors president Masai Ujiri has been named Officer of the Order of Canada for his contributions both on and off the court. Cree artist Kent Monkman is being recognized for his role as one of Canada's most dynamic contemporary artists. One of the new members of the order is also musician Andy Kim, who you're listening to right now. He's best known for writing the tune Sugar Sugar in the 1960s. Governor General Mary Simon has announced a total of 85 appointments to the Order of Canada, including 3 companions, 22 officers, and 60 members. City News time, 11:03. And we have breaking news from the entertainment world. Oscar-winning actor Alan Arkin has died at the age of 89.
Oscar goes to Alan Arkin in Little Miss Sunshine.
Alan Arkin says he almost didn't get the part because the directors felt he was too virile. He claims it was the most flattering rejection he ever got.
Arkin's family says he died at his home in California yesterday. Arkin won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role in the comedy's Little Miss Sunshine in 2007. A second shooting in the Carlington neighborhood in just as many days has left another person dead. Police were called to Caldwell Avenue last night around 9:30, where they located one person with life-threatening injuries. They later died in hospital. No suspect information has been released. Anyone with information is being asked to contact Ottawa Police or Crime Stoppers. City News time, 11:04. Time for City News weather. Here's Jill Taylor.
And thunderstorms in the forecast for the Canada Day long weekend are guaranteed high today. 26 degrees will feel like 29, 18 for the low, near 28 tomorrow, feeling like 32 with the scattered showers and storms for Canada Day, and continuing at times for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. For today, the guaranteed high, 26.
Right now in Ottawa and Smiths Falls, 21, feeling like 27. I'm Victoria Williston. For news anytime, you can follow us online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're We're back, everyone. We're getting ready for our lunch today. We're very excited. It's going to be a fun lunch with Colin Mockery and Pierre Bureau. We're going to have some fun Canadian fun, I should say. I wanted to speak with Barbara Cartwright today. She's the CEO of Humane Canada. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good, Barbara. You know, I think about all the discussions we've had over the last 5 years, and some of them have been really difficult discussions in terms of the way that farm animals, domestic animals, and wildlife have been treated in this country. But today, let's celebrate a little bit, Barbara. You've had some wins. Talk to me about what's happened in the last week or so.
Yeah, a couple of really big files, we would call them, move forward in the last 2 weeks with the Government of Canada, which is amazing. So I would frame it this way, in that in the last couple of weeks, the Government of Canada has taken a stance and is moving towards eliminating all animal testing in our country. And I say that based on two bills that passed. The first was Bill S5, which is our update to our Canadian Environmental Protection Act. And so a lot of interesting things in there about the environment, including our right as Canadians to a healthy environment. But our part that really interests us and that we worked on for about 5 years was to ban or create a phase out to ban toxicity testing on animals. So this is where if you want to get a toxic chemical approved to be used, you need to test it first on an animal by government requirement. So that will no longer be a requirement. These tests are terrible. And the animals, about 100,000 animals suffer every year under these tests. So very exciting, a really important statement, but also in that bill is a commitment that the government must move towards supporting alternatives. Because, of course, anybody that we want to move away from animal testing, we need to have another way to test the safety of ingredients or chemicals or medical procedures. So we do need these alternatives. So that's number one. That was super exciting because that went through 2 weeks ago. And then last week, in the next bill, which was the Budget Implementation Act, there was provisions in there to ban cosmetic testing on animals, which is also fantastic. Now, it's a little more of an ethical stance because there isn't much testing going on not many cosmetics are being tested on animals in Canada. But equally important, and as I said at the top, I think it shows that as a country, Canada is moving away from animal testing and moving into alternatives that are cheaper, more predictive, and better for animals.
Well, that's all good news, Barbara. And I know you've got a long way to go. I know there's a number of issues that we've spoke about that are still unresolved, but I did want to celebrate with you today. One that I think about a lot, and as I think about Jan Arden coming to Ottawa to celebrate with us for Canada Day, I think about her work in terms of the horse slaughter that goes on, horses being sort of boxed up and shipped over by plane to Japan, only to be brought there and killed in the most horrific way possible. That work is still being undertaken.
Yeah, so that work is slower, and we're really, and thanks to Jan, encouraging the government to step up and get this done. It is part of the Minister of Agriculture's mandate letter, so it's like her performance plan from the Prime Minister, so she should be getting it done. We're pretty late in the term. So we're pushing really hard, but I will say, and as I said, Jan has done amazing work in this area to keep this on the radar screen. She's recently asked the Prime Minister for a meeting to speak about it. But the good news is that last week as well, Senator Pierre Delphine, one of our most respected senators, actually put in his own private member's bill alongside Jan called the Horse Protection Act that really simply outlines how we can ban this practice where we're shipping live horses via air over to Japan and Korea to be made into sushi. It just causes an enormous amount of pain and suffering for those animals. So the Horse Protection Act outlines it well, and so we'll be pushing hard for that, but we'll continue to push for the government to pick it up themselves and move forward and ban this practice. The other good news is when they do that, if my mind is serving me, that will mean all of the election commitments that the government made will be completed, which is phenomenal.
And how rare, Barbara?
Oh, completely rare. The fact that it was in an election platform, both the Conservatives and the Liberals put it in, so that tells you animal protection is important to Canadians. And then, the Prime Minister put each of his commitments, each of the election platform commitments, into the ministerial mandate letters, which indicates that the government was serious. It wasn't just like, a throwaway set of election promises. And unfortunately, unfortunately, this horse piece is the last piece that they're just dragging their feet on. The rest, they have moved significantly forward. There's the captivity, banning certain forms of animal captivity. We're looking forward to something happening in the fall on that. And so, I would say the Liberal government is really showing and demonstrating its commitment to animal protection.
From what Jan shared with us here on City News, Jan Arden joined us maybe about 5-6 weeks ago to talk about the campaign that she's undertaken, and she was talking about that there's just a handful of people making a lot of money off this horse slaughter, and every time you describe it, Barbara, my tummy just makes me sick, to be honest with you. But one question I have for you is, we know that the relationship between the province of Alberta, where a lot of these horses are being shipped through, and the Prime Minister and his government, it's a tense relationship. Do you think that is influencing the fact this is taking a little bit longer, that Alberta has asked the federal government, step off? We've got our own mandate here. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Well, not that we've heard. And I'll be frank with you and all your listeners. We haven't heard that the Prime Minister isn't supportive of this. He put it in the mandate letters. We feel that it's more at the Ag Minister level.
Okay.
And so I can't speak to why Minister Bibeau has not just gotten this done. It's simple. And as you just mentioned, it's very few sector. There's very few people involved in the practice. And it's an egregious practice that's fully and completely unnecessary. So we hope that this will change. And quite frankly, with Jan asking to meet with the Prime Minister, we hope that will help push this forward and that the government will do something. We did see also in the last week of Parliament that a Liberal parliamentarian stood up and said that he would be introducing his own private member's bill on this issue. So I think we can also see that the Liberal caucus is keen to get it done. And so perhaps the government will also, get behind the MP's private member's bill and get it done that way. I'm hopeful, I must say, that, it's been hard, and it shouldn't be this hard to get this bill done. I believe that the government will get it done.
I think any business, Barbara, that you have to do in the middle of the night, under the cover of darkness, loading horses into crates, at airports, is probably not a business you're very proud to be doing. And
interestingly, a shipment just went out of Winnipeg, and animal activists that go and try to record so that we actually have some transparency and some eyes on what's happening, they were denied. And so we know the shipment left. We have a few images, thanks to some of these great folks in Manitoba, that the shipment went, but couldn't get in to take images of the animals, which I think plays to what you're saying, which is if you're proud of your industry, the doors are wide open.
For sure. I mean, I can't imagine loading those horses, looking those horses in the eye, knowing what they're about to experience. I actually get emotional thinking about it. Barbara, thank you so much for everything you do. You've been leading this organization for over a decade, and every time I see that there's a win, I know that it's your leadership and your team working hard and tirelessly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. I look forward to the next time we can talk and celebrate, because that is always the best.
Let's do it. Barbara Cartwright today, CEO of Humane Canada. We appreciate her time. When we come back, my friend Anil Jolly is going to be in studio with me, and we're going to talk about Canada Day. We're going to talk a little OC Transpo. We're going to talk about the Red Blacks, and let's throw Erik Karlsson into the mix. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks. and it shattered her world.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play, and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
I'm not special. Cancer happens to people all the time. I take 1 mile at a time, 26 miles a day. I want to set an example that'll never be forgotten. Sometimes, it feels endless. But the pain I feel is nothing. I've seen little kids in so much pain. Somewhere, the hurting must stop.
Terry Fox ran more than halfway across Canada to raise money for cancer research. Every year, millions of people around the world continue the marathon of hope in his name.
Today, I helped a parent feed their family by connecting them to a food program.
Today, I helped someone connect with mental health supports.
Today, I helped a couple struggling to pay their bills access financial aid.
Every day, 211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, he's here, everyone, and Il Jolly is our City News web editor for not only Ottawa, but Kitchener and Halifax. You're a busy dude.
I am very busy, yes.
Yeah, busy dude. What's up for Canada Day?
What's up for Canada Day? We have a big family barbecue tomorrow. My wife's side and my side. We're going to just get together and celebrate and hopefully get out and do something close by. I mean, we have some activities in Stittsville and Canada too, so
yeah.
Take the excitement around our area for sure.
Fantastic. Are you? Let me ask you this: are you the grill guy?
Yes, I'm the grill guy.
Okay,
I'm the grill guy.
So what's on the barbecue?
What's on the barbecue? We got a variety of kebabs. My father-in-law's vegetarian, so we do have some vegetarian options as well.
Nice.
We got some salads.
Yeah.
We got a lot of sides. It's going to be a lot of cheeses, a nice spread.
And what time are we showing up?
What time are we showing up? You said whatever time.
Oh, you're so sweet. That sounds like fun. We're actually, we're heading to, I've mentioned a couple times, we're going to the Brook Street Hotel for a little staycation. And we're very excited about that. So we dropped the dogs off this morning, so they're on vacation. When we pull to drop off the dogs at Country Beds for Tails, just in Greeley there, they jump out of that car and you would not know that they've ever met me. Yeah. They are just dying to get inside and play with all their buddies in there. So they're very excited about that. So we're looking forward to a nice Canada Day. A little bit of a quiet one for us, I'm hoping.
This will be fun. You deserve it, Sam.
Oh, for sure.
Go have fun.
Monday, the Sam Laprade Show will not be here. We'll be airing all sorts of great content, but we won't be here. We'll be back on Tuesday. So it's nice to have the 3 days.
Nice to have 3 days, spend some time with the family, enjoy the activities around our city. There's lots going on this weekend.
For sure.
So.
We are doing a special Canada Day show tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. So we're going to be talking to lots of great Canadians. We have a number of Indigenous individuals as well joining us to talk about what Canada Day means to them. Michelle Good is the author of Five Little Indians. She's going to be joining us. And Bob Joseph wrote the book. I don't know if you've read this book or not. I'm going to lend you. If you haven't read it, I'm going to lend it to you. It's called The 21 Things You Didn't Know About the Indian Act.
Okay.
And is it shocking?
Yeah.
It is probably one of the best books out there. He wrote it started as a blog.
Okay.
And then, so he's going to join us tomorrow. And then we're going to have a little fun as well. We've got comedian Brittle Star joining us, talk about all things Canada. And of course, we've got a really wonderful woman by the name of Stephanie Crowchild. She's an Indigenous designer as well. So it's going to be a great day. Lots of everything, all Canada. Talking a little bit about Canada Day, we know that Melanie Bro and everybody from the organizing committee for the LeBreton Flats celebration is really telling people, hey, take public transit down there. Don't try to drive. A really important piece there.
Yeah. There's services offered by OC Transpo on Canada Day. There's lots to do downtown. Please stay safe and take those opportunities and take the public transit. It's there. There's free options too as well. Please be safe.
For sure. We've talked a lot about OC Transpo this week. I actually had Councillor David Brown and Councillor Alan Hubley join me yesterday to talk a little bit about some of the plans for OC Transpo, particularly that on-demand service, right? There's lots of options there. What are you hearing about that?
We know that this has been in the talks for a little bit of time, and I think it's a great opportunity now. We all know that we've been trying to really help elevate a transit service that, it's no secret, it's been struggling since the pandemic, right? So different opportunities to get people to ride the bus and provide those opportunities for people who may have some accessibility issues as well, because we're going to, with the on-demand, there's going to be the paratranspo, right? With paratranspo. So it's an opportunity to be able to provide those services to everybody.
And I'm really hoping when we look at the OC Transpo plan, that there's a lot of energy put into paratranspo. We know earlier this week we spoke with another comedian, actually, by the name of Michael Lifshitz, and he always talks about his challenges getting around this community. And if you could believe it, he didn't realize that the LRT had shut down, and he was trying to get on it at 11:30, and he couldn't get on. So then he thought, well, I'll reach out and I'll grab a cab and I'll make my way home. And he has some mobility issues. He couldn't access anything. Capital Taxi didn't have anything. There was no opportunity through paratranspo. He had to stay in a hotel, Anil. He had to spend the night in a hotel downtown because by 2:00 in the morning, there was no transportation for him.
That's shocking.
It is shocking in this city. So I'm hoping that through all of this, that as much energy is put into the whole plan, is put into paratranspo. We hear this time and time again. I've had a number of representatives. I've spoke a lot with John Reddens. He comes on and talks about the challenges with paratranspo. I'm really hoping that kind of stuff is dealt with. On top of the fact that, and I was telling Councillor Brown yesterday, because of course he's our councillor, we're in Richmond, that Avery can't get to Barrhaven or to Canada. Like she has to basically, if she wants to get a bus, she's going from Richmond to downtown Ottawa.
Oh my goodness.
She can't go and visit her friends in Barrhaven.
The communities are expanding too, Richmond.
Exactly.
It's expanding. So hopefully we get some sort of services out there.
I'm hoping.
That's shocking.
I'm hoping. So, so public transit is going to be really important. It's going to be really important today if you're heading to the Red Blacks game.
Oh, it's Canada Day when there's a Red Blacks game.
I know. It's exciting.
Right.
I hope they win.
It's a battle of two winless teams, right?
Yes, exactly.
So somebody's got to win tonight.
Right.
Change at quarterback, the Red Blacks. Maybe we'll see if that sparks something with Tyree Adams coming in. He's a very mobile quarterback, so there's some excitement there. Somebody's got to win tonight, and we hope that it's the Red Blacks, right?
Absolutely. It's such a festive environment.
Yeah,
I always think, I've gone to a couple games, but on a night like tonight, I'll look at my social media about 11 o'clock and I'll realize I was the only person in my friend group that was not at the game. It seems like every single person I know, headed to the game. We know our friends here, Aaron and Noah and David, they all headed to the game recently. They had a great time. So it's great entertainment, but some wins are necessary.
Wins are necessary. It's a very fun environment going down to TD Place. There's lots of options there. It's definitely a lot of fun. And it's even more fun when your team wins. So
100%.
Let's go Red Blacks.
100%. Lansdowne 2.0. This is something you've been working on as well this week. It's been, obviously a big talk about putting a couple of towers up there. The big kind of conversation always is, where are people going to park? How are people going to get down there? It's going to be more congested than ever. What are you hearing about Lansdowne 2.0?
We know that this has something that has been on both sides. You can definitely see both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those north side stands are. There's a need for for some changes there and there. But it was an interesting week to see just both sides, right? You understand both sides of the argument, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes with Lansdowne 2.0. But it's something that a lot of people have been clamoring for and in need, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes for sure.
Absolutely. So from the Red Blacks to the Ottawa Senators, we know a favorite of the Ottawa Senators, of course, is Erik Karlsson. I still miss him. I really enjoyed. I worked with Erik a lot when I was with the Boys and Girls Club of Ottawa. He was very generous with his time, and we did a big coffee deal with Bridgehead, and that was a lot of fun to work on all of that. But he said to a Swedish journalist recently that he would maybe be interested in coming back to Ottawa, or they didn't sort of say that he wouldn't come back. So what do you think? Do you think he'd ever come back to Ottawa? Do we have the money for Erik Karlsson?
Well, it's Norris Trophy winner Erik Karlsson, by the way, right?
Yes.
He just won another Norris Trophy as the league's top defenseman. We know what he is capable of. His absolute gifted with the puck, and can the Senators bring him back? It would have to be very enticing. But I know he has a soft spot for this city.
Well, he does. I mean, so many family ties through his wife, and there's lots of love for Erik Karlsson in the city. Maybe it's just my dream that he comes back. Maybe it's just me. I should phone Pierre Dorion and say, let's what can we do here?
GM's got a lot on his plate right now.
He does, absolutely.
Right, so let's see where we'll see where he goes with you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. DJ Smith, of course, has got the nod from the new owner. He's going to be sticking around. Pierre Dorion sticking around as well. I think a lot of people were kind of wondering. There were some rumors about Patrick Roy as well, if he was going to be coming into the coaching staff. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with our Sens.
Yeah, they got a lot on their plate right now. What's going on with Alex DeBrincat and surrounding that player. We know that we know what he brings to the team, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So they've just finished the draft. Some great selections by the Senators. So
it's going to be interesting.
It will very well be interesting.
I love chatting with you. And Il Jolly, of course, our City News web editor for not only Ottawa, but Kitchener and Halifax. We keep him busy. We're going to put him back in the newsroom now and keep going with our show today. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Hi, can I take your order? Hello?
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?
No. Could I get a burger with a side of fries?
Think you're a better driver when you're high? Think again. Smoking weed affects reaction time and concentration. A message from Mad Canada.
Hi, my name is Meg, and I'm from Fit Over 50, and this is Fit Finley. I want to invite you to join my upcoming segment, which is focused on hip and knee strength. All you'll need is a chair, and we'll be doing lots of standing exercises along with some seated stretches. Hope to see you there.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Friday, June 30th. Good morning. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now, 22 degrees, feeling more like 27. That special air quality statement is in effect. Here's what's making news right now. The biggest Canada Day party is back at LeBreton Flats for a second straight year. Now, the daytime shows around noon and the evening shows starting around 7. And then the big fireworks display is at 10. Tomorrow. Now, if you're not about going downtown, there are smaller Canada Day events like the ones in Canada and Orleans. But a note for Canada Day that OC Transpo is free, museums are free, but most stores are closed except for the Rideau Centre and Tanger outlets. But if you are heading downtown, just make sure that you keep in mind the road closures in the downtown area. Now, Ottawa police investigating a second shooting in the Carlington neighborhood that left another person dead. Officers were called to Cladwell Avenue around 9:30 last night. One person was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries and later died from those injuries. Now, this comes just 2 days after a 47-year-old was found dead on Raven Avenue in that same neighborhood, which police have now said is a homicide. That investigation for both the shootings is ongoing. City News Time, it's 11:32. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you for joining us here on City News. We have lots coming for you as we wind up the week and look forward to the long weekend. We wanted to spend some time today with Laurel Smith, producer of the Classic Theatre Festival. Hi, Laurel.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm so excited. So tell me everything about this festival. How can we get involved?
Well, you can get involved by attending. We're very excited to be producing at Arts Court Theatre. We had our first production last year at Arts Court after having spent 10 years successfully in Perth, Ontario. We had a wonderful time there. And then we moved our operations to Ottawa last year. And this year we're doing 2 plays. Last year we did one after the pandemic. We were a little tentative, but it went really, really well. So it encouraged us to continue. And this summer we're doing 2 plays at Arts Court Theatre from July 7th to August 27th.
Well, that's wonderful. And give us a sense of, a little bit about your crew.
Sure. Well, we're so excited to have some amazing performers and designers that have come to work with us this summer. And it's really heartening to see that people coming out of the pandemic, particularly, to have artists back on stage. It's been such a difficult time for everyone. So we're really, really happy that we have the people that we have. There's some of them I worked with before, and they're wonderful performers, and some are new to the festival. So I feel very privileged to be able to work with these folks.
And so you've got shows running July 7th to the 30th, and then another performance from August 4th to the 27th. So
Exactly.
Yeah, give us a sense of who the audience is for both of these.
Yeah, so the first show is called Affairs of State, and it's a wonderful play written in 1949, so we're setting it in 1949, and it was a really interesting time for politics in that era, and it's a love story set against the backdrop of a Washington, D.C. Scenario. So we have a senator who's involved in what we call a love quadrangle. So it's a lot of machinations similar to the political world, but it's at its core, it's a romantic love story, and it's a comedy. But it's been really interesting researching that time period, because so many things that happened during that time kind of led to where we are today. So it's been really fun to explore that post-war era and to look at these characters. He's written a beautiful play. It was Louis Verneuil, who's a French playwright, and he was also a screenwriter. So he has an amazing ability to analyze Washington politics from afar, I suppose. But he's written a beautiful play that is very, very heartfelt and funny and romantic all at once.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then Sleuth.
Yes, well, Sleuth is a classic. A lot of your listeners probably know that story, and it was, of course, a play and then became a hit movie with Laurence Olivier, and Michael Caine, of course. And it's an amazing play. It was based on, ironically, Stephen Sondheim inspired the musical theater composer inspired the play, because Stephen Sondheim loved game playing, loved crosswords and games and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of based on his love for games, and so the lead character is obsessed with playing games. He's a mystery writer, and so he plays games with the other character, because the other character has unfortunately stolen his wife.
Oh, wow.
So,
right.
So the plot ensues. I won't give a lot away, but it's a lovely play, and it's actually very funny as well, and it tends to poke fun at class differences and race differences and all those things that were going on in the era. It's a 1970s play, which fits within our festival's mandate. And so it's a lot of fun, but it's also a really telling mystery story.
And I have to tell you, I mean, obviously we love talking about the arts, and I love also talking about the fact that, this is for everybody through your Save a Seat program. Talk to me about this.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it. We're really dedicated to that program. We have a book sale that happens every year, and we sell tons and tons of books for very cheap, and those funds go towards subsidized tickets. So we're allowed to, through that program, provide some financing so that folks who can't afford theater tickets can come for free. So we've contacted a lot of community centers and community organizations, and we actually have a big busload coming for our first preview from a community center. And all these folks, some of them have never attended theater before, and of course some of them have attended theater but just simply can't afford it anymore, or never have been able to afford it. So it's a really it means a lot to us, because it's a real community event when folks come like that, and it's not stigmatizing at all, because no one would ever know that they had a subsidized ticket. So it's a wonderful program. It also allows our patrons to kind of buy one and get one. So some people donate funds specifically for the Save a Seat program, which allows people who can't afford to come to the theater to help their neighbors who can't.
Wonderful. Laurel, good luck with the shows, and thanks for joining us on City News.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate being on.
Laurel Smith joining us, producer of the Classic Theatre Festival, coming to Arts Court. Of course, you can find a couple of shows there running July 7th to the 30th and then August 4th to the 27th. So they've got you covered all summer long. I wanted to get connected today with Stephen Clark, National Executive Director for the Royal Canadian Legion. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Sam. How are you doing today?
Good. It's wonderful to spend time with you. And I'm going to tell all our listeners that may not know, when I'm not on City News here, I'm working with the Legion National Foundation, and I work from the building you're in.
Absolutely, and we are very fortunate to have that connection, Sam, and very appreciative for all the things you do, not only for the Legion and the Legion National Foundation, but in what you're doing currently.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate it. And I got thinking today about this special Canada Day show, heading into Canada Day tomorrow, and I started thinking about Remembrance Day. Of course, you and I think about Remembrance Day. The whole team, of course, at the Royal Canadian Legion is always thinking about Remembrance Day, but it's important to remember the fallen and remember our veterans every day of the year, Stephen.
Absolutely. As you said, veterans are always in our hearts and mind. There's an added focus, of course, during the Remembrance period and on November 11th. But on Canada Day, we also have that connection. Canada Day, we all think of and we celebrate our nation's accomplishments and how we've developed and progressed to where we are today. And it's also another occasion to honor the service and achievements of Canada's military and the veterans, of course, who personify that institution. And they have added significantly to Canada's heritage. I wanted to highlight a couple of specific historic connections that veterans have to Canada Day. The first one, the Parliament buildings themselves on Parliament Hill. They are dedicated in part to the courage and memory of Canadians who fought in the First World War. And normally, Canada Day celebrations are held with those Parliament buildings as a backdrop. But even though celebrations are moved to LeBreton Flats this year, those Parliament buildings still stand as that testament to Canada Day and to veterans. And the other thing I wanted to mention is it's something that's a little bit, well, it is much more solemn of an observance. July 1st, 1916, the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel took place, and that was the first day of the Battle of the Somme during the First World War. Approximately 800 men of the Newfoundland Regiment were involved in the advance on that day, and unfortunately only 68 were left to answer the roll call the next day.
Oh, wow.
That is a very, very important date in the lives and the minds of everyone from Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course all Canadians. Now, there is a memorial on that particular site in a small area just outside Albert, France, which features a bronze caribou. Now, that caribou is one of 6 such monuments throughout France, Belgium, and Turkey, known as the Trail of the Caribou. So in addition to the celebrations that will be held all across the country on July 1st, there will also be commemorations, both at the National War Memorial here in Ottawa and Canada's other National War Memorial in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Stephen, I didn't know anything about that, so I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you. It's important to remember on days like that. Talk to me a little bit about Legion memberships, because I'll be honest with you, when I started with you 4 or 5 years ago, I thought Legion memberships were only for veterans, and you were like, no, Sam, it's for everybody. Talk to me a little bit about memberships.
Absolutely. Membership in the Royal Canadian Legion is open to anyone. Veterans themselves, veterans' family members, people who support veterans in the military, whether they have a connection or not. And it's very important to bring in members from all facets of all communities to come together to support veterans. And interesting thing, Sam, in the short time that we have been working together, Legion membership has actually increased for the first time in 3 decades.
Amazing.
So we have seen a decline in membership. 2022, our membership increased, and we are currently on track for increasing members this year as well. Last year, we brought in over 35,000 new members into the organization. And again, that stands as a testament of all the people in their communities across this country who support veterans. And I'm very pleased that you have brought up the fact that anyone can join the organization, because that is such an important thing for people to realize and to understand. You don't have to be a veteran. You just have to support what veterans do and stand for.
Absolutely. And that remembrance period that you spoke of, Stephen, the last Friday of October right through to November 11th, I know the team at the Royal Canadian Legion already thinking about that, working on it from the day, basically November 12th, you're starting starting to work on the next year, and I know how hard everybody's working through the summer and into the fall to ensure that that veterans and those fallen are remembered during this time, and we have an opportunity to reflect on everything they've done for this country. And you're always doing so many innovative things. Every year you seem to do something different. So we'll look forward to the innovation for 2023.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. And you are correct. We are working on some new initiatives. We had some really interesting projects last year, such as Poppy Stories, where you simply, with your phone, scanned your lapel poppy and up came on your screen a story about a veteran. We're enhancing that. We're increasing other initiatives, such as Remembrance Island, where you can go, this is a partnership with Fortnite, where you go on to a gaming platform and learn about remembrance. There's no fighting in the Remembrance Island, but you learn about remembrance. There's always unique and interesting ways that we are looking at how we can enhance the remembrance message. And we have a couple of exciting ones coming up this year that I'm not going to speak about just yet, but we can certainly in time.
Well, that means that we get to speak again during the remembrance period, Stephen, and you can share all the good news. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Sam. Thank you so much. And happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day to you. Stephen Clark joining us, National Executive Director for the Royal Canadian Legion. We appreciate Stephen's time always. When we come back, well, it's Friday. That means Keith Whittier's here. He's a movie reviewer. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
It was my daughter's birthday. She was blowing out the candles on our cake when we heard coming from the TV. So we stopped and listened, and it helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of my daughter's birthday, because now she gets to keep having them.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
6,423 missing threads.
One for every hate-fueled protest and social post.
From just the first 3 months of 2023.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, Okay, well, maybe this long weekend you're thinking, we're going to head to the theater. We're going to watch a movie to celebrate all things Canada. Well, Keith Whittier is here to tell you what to watch and maybe what to avoid. Hi, Keith.
How are you?
Great. Keith is a movie reviewer, and we count on you every single week, Keith. And this week you've brought 3 great movies to us. We're going to start here a little trailer from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Dad told me you found something on a train during the war. A dial that could change the course of history.
Why are you chasing the thing that drove your father crazy? Don't move.
Please get out of here. Sorry.
Dr. Jones.
What did you think, Keith?
Okay, so let's start with this. Harrison Ford is an icon. We are also talking about a gentleman who is 80 years old, who's been in films that range from like Star Wars to like the Jack Ryan series. Of course, these Indiana Jones movies where he's donned the famous fedora 5 times. He keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny, a ton of respect. Now, that being said, this film is a bit of a mixed bag. The first act, basically, we're reunited with our famous archaeologist, Indiana Jones, and we're back in the 40s where he's trying to get this ancient artifact away from the Nazis. Then we fast forward about 25 years. He's teaching at a university. He thinks he's retired, and then his goddaughter, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, shows up and basically wants to bring him back into the action. So for the first part of the movie, it's very exciting. There's a lot of great sequences. The second act is okay, but by the time we get to the third, that's where it kind of, for me, goes off the rails, and this is going to be a point of contention for some people. Some people are going to see this and think it's fine. I wasn't one of those people. Overall, the movie's okay. It's not great, and it's not going to make you forget about Raiders of the Lost Ark or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And for the final installment, I thought it could have been a lot better. And I think and I don't blame Ford for it. He's not on the writing team. I think the challenge was with the writing and the storylines. Again, some people might see it and enjoy it. I wasn't one of those people. I thought it was okay, but I don't think it's going to be one of those films that we remember in the next few weeks or so.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Good to know. Number 2 is Past Lives.
What a good story this is. Childhood sweethearts who reconnect 20 years later and realize they were meant for each other. In the story, I would be the evil white American husband standing in the way of destiny.
Shut up. He was just this kid in my head for such a long time. I think I just missed him.
Did he miss you?
I saw this trailer in the theater, prior to a movie I was seeing, and I thought, I want to see this. So I'm anxious to know what you think, Keith.
Yeah, I'm anxious for you to see it. Complete opposite reaction to the last movie we just talked about. This is a film that I was having a bit of FOMO with, which of course is the fear of missing out, because even though I'm accredited for different festivals, sometimes I'm not able to attend them physically and I cover them virtually. This movie's been popping up at different festivals, but the studio has been very adamant that they wanted people to see it in the theater and they weren't allowing links for it. Oh. It made its debut at Bytown last week to my pleasant surprise, pretty much a capacity crowd on a Saturday evening for that film, and now it's having a wider release at the Cineplex and Landmark properties. It follows the tale of 2 people from Korea, and we meet them as school kids, as classmates, and the girl Nora, her and her family immigrate to Canada, and then she ends up moving to New York City. And over the course of time, she keeps in touch with her childhood friend / sweetheart. But now we're at a point where, as their lives have drifted on, she's now married, and she's married somebody from the States, but he still lives in Korea, and now he's coming to visit. So it's kind of a tale of, lost love and what could have been and things of that nature. But the writer-director, Celine Song, for her debut, has really blown it out of the park. This is a very beautiful, moving film. And it seems so fitting that it's brought to us by the studio A24, because they do such a great job telling human, like real life stories. And we've seen that with films like The Florida Project and things of that nature. That's also the studio that brought us The Whale, and of course this year's Best Picture winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think Past Lives is probably one of the best films of the year.
Wow.
I think we'll definitely be talking about it later on this year, and of course early next year as we get into award season. I think it's beautifully done, and I couldn't recommend this movie more. It's not one of these big budget films that you tend to see in the summertime. It's very under the radar, but I think with word of mouth and what have you, this movie definitely has some traction.
Amazing. I love hearing that. Maybe Avery and I'll go see it this weekend. Okay, the next one, number 3, is Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Season 4.
So what are we getting at?
Convergence.
The fusing of a drug cartel with a terrorist organization. They can move anything. Humans, weapons, suicide bombers. Unlimited resources paired with undying hatred.
Not on my watch. The world is a game board of changing hands. Nothing but vipers beyond these walls.
What do you think, Keith?
Listen, I always try. I'm not always successful, but I always try to bring something from a streaming service because I know that there are people who just prefer, the simplicity and the relaxation of just being at home in their PJs and their comfies watching something. So to those people, I bring you Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Season 4, which is on Amazon Prime Video. So usually this is supposed to be the end of the series, and usually when you're coming towards the end, it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility for the performances to be mailed in for just to kind of like get it done and move on. I think they saved the best for last. I was very, very impressed with this season. From a plot perspective, we're dealing with the normal having to save the world and all of that, and that's fine. But what makes this show so compelling is that for me, in this last season, everything works. From the acting, not just the lead with John Krasinski, but his supporting cast with Wendell Pierce, as well as people like Michael Pena. I also think that the story is very strong and it keeps you engaged. Now, Amazon is doing something pretty smart. Usually these streaming services drop all the episodes at one time. They're doing it there's 6 episodes and they're dropping 2 a week. So 2 this week and then 2 the following week, and then concluding in that 3rd week. Everything about this series just for me really worked, especially in this last season. 6 episodes as to the usual 8 that they've previously done with the other 3. I thought it was compelling. I thought it was interesting. Usually, bringing up Harrison Ford again, when I think of Jack Ryan, I think of the portrayals that Harrison Ford had done with films like Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. Now I think it's a 2-person race for who plays the best Jack Ryan. I thought the show was well done overall, but specifically to this last season, I thought they really went out with a bang.
Okay, good to know. We got some sad news today out of Hollywood. Alan Arkin passed away, of course, played the grandpa in Little Miss Sunshine. He did such a good job. So sad to hear of his passing today.
Yeah, I saw that. This morning, and it's interesting, right? Because here's somebody who has just been in so many wonderful things. Not only the Little Miss Sunshine, but Argo. As somebody who's passionate about sales, I remember him, of course, in Glenn Ross,
yes,
which I think is a must-watch for anybody as a sales professional, let alone just somebody who enjoys film. Yeah. So yeah, it was sad to hear that news this morning.
Absolutely, I love that movie. Avery and I just watched it. I think over Christmas time. Again, we love pulling it out at least once a year. A favorite for sure. Speaking of favorites, you're one of my favorites, Keith.
I appreciate that. I'm just happy to be on the list. And let me tell you something. You and I are coming so much closer to getting our movie date together.
I know, it's
and
so close.
For those who aren't familiar with the saga, you and I have been trying for a long time to get together to actually sit down and see a movie. And I am telling you, this summer it's going to happen. I'm very excited.
I'm gonna probably shock you. Do you know how many years it's been?
I'm going to think 4 or 5. It would be my guess.
5 years,
is, eh?
Yeah, 5 years. We're going to make it happen, though.
We're definitely making it happen.
Absolutely. Keith Whittier spending time with us today, movie reviewer. Appreciate his time always. We're getting ready for a really funny lunch today. Normally our lunches are, we focus on the big news of the day, but we're going to focus on the laughs. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, Dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol, and you fail a roadside test, your license will be suspended immediately for up to 30 days. You'll pay a penalty of $198. And you can be charged with a criminal offense of impaired driving, the same as alcohol. Driving high is never okay.
Hey everybody, my name is Karen. I'm here with my best friends Shane and Monique. Join us on Rogers TV for Fitness Faction. Every week we're going to take you through a full body workout. We've got strength training, we've got cardio, we've got HIIT. Ladies, let's get back into it.
I think we've got 10 more skaters. Let's go.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of the new Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
Good afternoon. It's Friday, June 30th. I'm Victoria Williston. Right now in Ottawa and Smiths Falls, we are under that special air quality statement. Some light rain in places, 22 degrees, feeling more like 27 with that humidity. Here's what's making news right now. It is Canada Day weekend, and that means a few changes in the city. City News reporter Chris Curries joins us with the details.
Are free. There's road closures galore downtown starting in the morning while most stores are closed. It's so everyone can celebrate Canada Day, possibly at LeBreton Flats where the big national event is taking place. Melanie Bro with Canadian Heritage.
I really suggest pack lightly. Just bring a little backpack with all the things you'll need for the day. Bring refillable water containers. We have lots of water stations.
The activities start at 9 a.m. There's a daytime and evening show before fireworks get underway at 10 p.m. In Canada Day celebrations back to pre-pandemic levels, says Colin Laycock, and outlines what's to come tomorrow.
Family activities throughout the whole day until opening ceremonies at 5 o'clock. And then we've got a couple of local bands, local acts playing. 90s at 9, video dance party, and then fireworks with a very special guest at 10 p.m.
That's all happening at Walter Baker Park. Chris Curry, City News.
And with the celebrations on both sides of the border for Canada Day as well as the 4th of July, that means a very busy long weekend for travel.
Both Pearson Airport and Canada Border Services have promised things will go much smoother than what we saw last July 1st when a post-pandemic travel boom went up against major staffing shortages. CNN's Pete Muntean says AAA is estimating over 50 million Americans will be traveling by road or by air for 4th of July weekend.
That is the biggest we have seen, not since 2019, not since last year, even though it's bigger than last year, the biggest since 2005 when AAA started forecasting.
The CBSA's biggest tip to plan ahead and have your travel documents handy. Caitlin Lee, City News.
City News time, 12:03. Toronto Raptors president Masai Ujiri has been named an officer of the Order of Canada for his contributions on and off the basketball court. Cree artist Kent Monkman is being recognized for his role as one of Canada's most dynamic contemporary artists. And one of the new members of the order is also musician Andy Kim, who you're listening to right now. He's best known for writing the hit tune Sugar Sugar in the 1960s. And actor Alan Arkin has died at the age of 89.
Oscar goes to Alan Arkin in Little Miss Sunshine.
Alan Arkin says he almost didn't get the part because the directors felt he was too virile. He claims it was the most flattering rejection he ever got.
Arkin's family said he died at his home in California yesterday. As you heard, Arkin won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role in the comedy Little Miss Sunshine. And a second shooting in the Carlington neighborhood in as many days has left another person dead. Police were called to Caldwell Avenue, where they located one person with life-threatening injuries. They later died in hospital. Anyone with information is being asked to contact Ottawa Police or Crime Stoppers. I'm Victoria Williston. For News Anytime, you can follow us online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, everybody, it's lunchtime, and we're certainly looking forward to a fun lunch today. We know many of you are already maybe heading into the long weekend, or maybe you're taking off from the office right now. We wanted to provide a little levity as we head into the Canada Day celebrations. We reached out to Colin Mockery. Of course, Colin is an actor. He's a producer, a comedian. He's well known for many, many appearances on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Hello, Colin.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Happy Canada Day.
And to you.
I was thinking, who could we have on the show today? Colin Mockery, absolutely. And we invited Pierre Bro to spend time with us as well, also an actor and a comedian from the Ottawa area. How are you, Pierre?
I'm very well, Sam, and hello, Colin. It's great to be here. Pierre. Thank you.
Let me ask you, Pierre. I know a lot of comedians and actors sort of get to know each other. Have you and Colin ever met before?
No, this is the first time. I'm hoping we do it face-to-face sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Just so to let you know, Colin, is Pierre teaches stand-up comedy, and I took his course. He's fantastic. So lots of fun there. Colin, when you think about the long weekend heading into this Canada Day, Colin, and we think about everything Canada, where does your mind go?
Well, I think back to first coming to this country. I was born in Scotland, and my parents emigrated when I was 6. So I remember coming back here, and there was a point in my life where my dad couldn't find work. He was going to head back to Scotland, and he said to my mother, we'd sold everything. He said, give me one more week, and he ended up staying here. And the fact that we were able to stay here, I think, totally changed my life in such a positive way. So I'm very grateful for what Canada has given me.
Absolutely. And Pierre, as you're heading into the weekend as well, what are you thinking about?
Well, I guess I have a similar story to Colin, because when I came to this country from another country called Quebec, where it wasn't as Canada Day was not as widely celebrated as Fête Nationale, Saint-Jean-Baptiste Day. But when I moved to Toronto, I remember that's when Canada Day really took on a great significance. And then, of course, moving to Ottawa, probably about 25 years ago or 30 years ago, that's when it really hit home, celebrating on Parliament Hill with friends, and it's always been like that. Now I live in the Byward Market, and, I can already see the preparations, a couple of weeks ago, and it's wonderful to sort of see it come back, and I'm looking forward to a lot of crowds and a lot of fun.
For sure. And Colin, I've followed your career over many, many years, and often you're introduced as a Canadian comedian or Canadian actor. I think about Whose Line Is It Anyway? And of course, I don't think there's an episode. I don't think I missed an episode. I love that show so much. What does it feel like to be introduced as a Canadian?
I love it. It sets me apart from those other people that I work with, who I love, but let's face it, I'm carrying them on my back, and that's what Canada does. So I'm very proud. I try to get as much Canadian
information out there, because sometimes I feel down south they don't really know a lot about us. I mean, I have been asked, while being in LA, you must enjoy all the light here. And I went, what? Well, aren't you dark 6 months of the year?
Oh,
no, we're not.
Oh, that's
perhaps,
so funny.
Perhaps I meant enlightenment.
Oh, that's so funny. That's awesome. And Pierre, why are Canadians so funny, Pierre Bro?
That's a great question, and I think to a certain extent it's about us being American without being American, if you kind of know what I mean. We stand on the outside, sort of dominated by American culture, and I think that we can sort of take a look at it from the outside. What's interesting too is, if I can talk locally for a moment, is that Ottawa also seems to be pump out a lot of really funny comics, which is kind of surprising because it's not really you don't perceive it as a funny town. But the country in general, I mean, you just have to look at the history of comics in Canada, and it is a huge, wonderful list.
It is a huge, wonderful list, and it's always so great. I have a lot of comedians on the show because I really want to support them, especially as they come into town and they're at Yuck Yucks or they're at at Absolute Comedy or wherever, and I want to show them a bit of love. Speaking about very funny, so probably 2 or 3 times a year, I think about you, Colin, and I pull up my favorite. I've already talked to you about this many years ago, but my favorite skit ever from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And of course, it was with the one and only Richard Simmons. Take us to that day.
Well, it's for some reason it's one of those scenes that people kept sending me, and I'm still trying to get over the trauma of it. It was a scene where we used Richard and Wayne as different objects, and there was at one point I used him as a jet ski, and in the final product they actually had to cut down the scene because the laugh went on for 2 minutes, and that doesn't seem like a long time, but it is when Richard Simmons' head is bobbing at your crotch. So, I mean, God bless him. He was so committed, and he made that scene incredibly funny. And I still think, in my humble opinion, one of the funniest things that ever showed up on television.
Oh my God, there's going to be a lot of people YouTubing that.
Absolutely. And if they don't remember it, they will YouTube it. And on their bad days, they're going to watch it just like I do to make the day just a bit better. Pierre, do you remember that particular scene?
Yes, I do remember. It was very, very funny, and I understand probably why the editors had to cut it down because everybody was laughing for a very, very long time.
How fun was Whose Line Is It Anyway, Colin?
I mean, as a job, it was really hard to beat. It was like 2 weekends out of the year, and I got to goof around with my friends. It was we would shoot for like 4 hours, so that would be maybe 22 games, and from that they could get 4 to 6 shows from that. So it was fast and furious and fun, and of course it gave us all a career. So and everyone in the cast have become great friends. Every host we've ever had on the show has become a great friend. It truly has been a dream job.
Oh, absolutely. And we enjoyed watching it so much. Pierre, have you done a lot of the improv stuff? I know you're an actor, and I know obviously stand-up comedy has a bit of improv there, but have you done that kind of improv that Colin's talking about?
Well, certainly not to the degree or professionalism that Colin has done it, but obviously in theater school you do lots of improv. I certainly do a lot of improv on stage during my act and stand-up. And I think you always have to be prepared. Even if you're just doing stand-up, you never know that X factor is going to come along. So you have to be prepared for what people might say to you, especially if you're doing crowd work.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to take a short break and come back with Colin Mockery, of course, and Pierre Bro here on City News. Stay with us, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
All I wanted was to see a movie. One down, please.
I can't sell downstairs tickets to you people.
How dare they? I could afford to buy the more expensive ticket. I run my own business. But they refused to take my money. They left me there all night. On what charge? They said I didn't pay the theater tax. But it was really about color.
Sister Desmond, appeal this conviction and your community will stand behind you.
Do you have any idea what this will do to us?
So what are you going to do? Make it right.
Viola Desmond's case inspired Nova Scotia's civil rights movement. She was pardoned 63 years later based on the injustice of her conviction.
Today, I helped a senior find transportation to an important medical appointment.
Today, I helped a new mom find virtual programming so she didn't feel so isolated.
Today, I helped someone understand new government supports.
Every day, 211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back with two very talented actors and comedians, and I'm so excited to welcome back Colin Mockery and Pierre Bro to the show. Colin, over your career, how has the funny changed? There's been lots of changes in comedy. How have you seen it evolve?
I think people have been more aware, hopefully, of what they're making fun of. I know a lot of people talk about cancel culture and things like that. I haven't found with improv that seems to be a problem because we tend to be more goofy than, hard-hitting satirical or hitting the political news of the day. So we get away with more things. But I know people are... I've worked with many improv troupes who have sort of a check-in before we do the show and talk about, being aware of other people on stage and not doing misogynist or homophobic things. And so there's a higher awareness of that. And I know some people think, well, that limits what you can do. I don't think it does. It makes you work harder, perhaps, but in a better way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And Pierre, you see a lot of students. They're wanting to learn stand-up for all different reasons. Certainly for myself, when I took your course, it was to improve my public speaking because I do a lot of public speaking. But what turned into, I get hired to do comedy now, which actually shocks me. Every time someone actually pays me for being funny, I'm like, I can't believe it. But when you're working with students, how important is it for you to allow them to be funny, but also, to Colin's point, not being rude to different cultures and to people?
Well, absolutely. First of all, let me say how great it is that you are getting paid. I expect some sort of cut. I will be sending my lawyers. That's really good to hear.
Fantastic.
Really good. That being said, let me just mention, and let me speak to what Colin says because it's very true. When I started, the first time I did stand-up comedy was at Yuck Yuck's Comedy Cabaret in Toronto in 1982. It wasn't even a bar then. It was a coffee house. And at that point in time, it was basically young white males like myself telling off-color jokes about themselves, and that was kind of it. And I did that for a while and then dropped out and came back. And when I came back, I noticed that things were changing. Voices were coming in that we hadn't heard before, like really funny voices. And I've certainly noticed now teaching that has completely changed. So we have to be much more conscious about our audience and about things like punching down and And it's really changed the whole complexion, literally, of stand-up comedy, and it's wonderful. I've had classes where I've had 10 women and a man. I've had classes of great diversity, and that's what we want to hear. We want to hear different voices. I mean, it's Canada, so it's not just the same old voices that we want to hear. It's the perspectives.
For sure. And Colin, Canadians like to kind of poke fun at ourselves. I mean, we get, the standard jokes about Poutine and beaver tails and 50 and all of that stuff. Why do you think we like to poke fun at ourselves?
Oh, I don't. You know what? I don't know. Sometimes I truly don't know what is going to tickle. There's times, when you're improvising, you think, "Oh, I have the best joke in the world ever," and nothing. So you're standing there sweating, going, "What happened?" I think the jokes that seem to resonate with people are things that people relate to, whether it's the frustrations of day-to-day life, and those are universal. I mean, every country has its problems, every country has its quirks, and we certainly have a lot of them here. And we also have that, I think people think of us as incredibly nice and polite, and that's not always true, and it's always fun to poke the stereotypes of what people think we are as a nation and what sometimes we think of ourselves as a nation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pierre, I think one of the best parts of my time with you and in that stand-up class was being able to really just talk about my life. I talk about my collection of husbands and talk about marrying an Australian and all the things that really did happen to me, but that twist on it was actually a bit therapeutic. Does that make sense to you, Pierre?
It absolutely makes sense because it was therapeutic for me. And I think for a lot of people doing stand-up, it's therapy. I mean, what can be more exciting? One of the first things, and you may remember in class, is I tell my students, I don't need another Dave Chappelle, George Carlin. They exist already. I want to hear your perspective. Where are you coming from? What do you find funny? And then we can live through you, as it were. And there's nothing in the world, and I'm sure Colin agreed, there's nothing in the world that feels better than making a few hundred people laugh simultaneously at the same thing.
100%.
It sends chills down my spine.
100%. I still watch the video of when we performed after your class, and there was a couple hundred people in the room. And once in a while, I'll still pull up that video, and it still gives me a rush today. Colin, were you a funny kid?
No. I was a bookworm. I was studious. I was planning to become a marine biologist. Then a friend of mine dared me to try out for a school play. I got it, and then I got my first laugh, and I still remember that moment. It was like what I imagine a rush of heroin would be. It was like I immediately was hooked and thought, no, I want this all the time.
Wow. And were you funny, Pierre, as a kid?
Yeah, I suppose I was. I had a very visible skin condition that a lot of kids teased me about, and so I used my humor. I'm a small guy. I would use my humor as a self-defense, and it was something that sort of got me through a lot of hard times. Just being able to sort of look at the ridiculousness of certain situations. So yeah, I would definitely say I was a bit of a class clown.
That's interesting. And Colin, when you think about Canadians, actors, and comedians, is there somebody you've got your eye on and you've kind of watched their career and you admire?
Yeah, I wish I could remember their names. I'm at that age now where it's like, oh, that funny guy with the mustache. I mean, one of my favorites is a friend of mine, Ron James, who I love. Just the way he weaves a story with his words is amazing. Ryan Belville. There's so many great young people coming up. And again, I apologize for not remembering your names, but I always highly recommend, go to the local comedy clubs, go and support these people before they go elsewhere, become famous, and you go, they're Canadian. Well, start supporting now.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about some greats, of course, from Ottawa. I think about John Doerr and Tom Green and all these guys. We always think about the late Norm Macdonald, of course, Pierre. But who have you got in your mind as some comedians that you've got a lot of admiration for?
Oh, well, over the years, I'm sort of with Colin on this. There are literally so many, and the ones that Colin named, absolutely. When I was coming up and starting out, Colin Mockery would be one of them as well. But even at Yuck Yucks way back then, the people who were John Wing and, people who were really working hard back then. But again, it's just completely changed. And you're right about Ottawa. Right now, the open mic scene in Ottawa is out of control. So there are literally hundreds of young comics in Canada waiting to burst out there, and I can't wait to see them.
100%. And Colin, if you could go back and tell yourself something just before you went on stage for that very first play and got your very first laugh, what would you go back and tell your younger self?
I'd just say, relax. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's, sometimes you get so into your head, and it's just go out there. And now I'm at the point where I can walk on stage in front of an audience who have paid money to see a show that I don't have and feel relaxed about that because I have trust in myself and with the people I'm working with. So it's fun. It should be a fun experience for everyone, including yourself.
For sure. And advice for people just starting out, Pierre. What's a good piece of advice for them?
Be yourself. The humor that you have inside you is what we want to see. You don't try to imitate. There's no more authentic comedian than you.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. Colin, how are you spending this Canada Day?
My wife, my lovely wife, Deb, and I have a show tomorrow in Prince Edward County, entertaining tens of people, so we're excited about that. And then just having a quiet barbecue with our daughter on over the weekend. Yeah, it's just quiet and fun.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Pierre, how about you? You're right in the heart of it all.
Well, you know it. I'm right at the heart. I'm right near Parliament Hill, so I'm going to be on that bridge to Quebec at my cottage in about 14 hours from now.
Oh, that's so funny. Guys, I can tell you, this has been such an honor to spend time with both of you. It was the perfect way to head into the long weekend, and I've enjoyed my lunch with both of you today. Colin Mockery, comedian, actor. I have so much respect for you. Thank you, Colin, for spending time with us. And Pierre Bro, comedian, actor, and I'm still trying to find a lot of respect for you, Pierre. I hope I do something.
Oh, wow. What a tough room.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us on City News. Stay with us, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop this Indigenous mother from going home with her newborn. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
This is City News 1011 everywhere.
Good afternoon. It's Friday, June 30th. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now, that special air quality statement is in effect for Ottawa, 22 degrees, feeling more like 27. Here's what's making news right now. Now, breaking news from Ottawa Police. They have now identified the man killed in yesterday's homicide. Police say 19-year-old Zachary Tiglick of Ottawa was killed in yesterday's homicide on Cladwell Avenue that was in the Carlington area. Police say no suspect description is available at the time and no other details have been released. Now, this comes just days after another shooting in that same neighborhood where a 47-year-old was found dead on Raven Avenue. Police have said that that one is a homicide and the investigation for both the shootings is ongoing. Now stay with City News for the latest on those two stories. Now, the biggest Canada Day party is back at Le Breton Flats for a second straight year. The daytime shows around noon and the evening show starting at 7 tomorrow. And then the big fireworks display is at 10. But if you're not heading downtown, there are also smaller Canada Day events like the one in Canada and Orleans and in other areas. Now, a note, if you are heading downtown, OC Transpo is free. Museums are free, but most stores will be closed except for the Rideau Centre and Tanga outlets. But just keep in mind, though, there will be a lot of road closures in the downtown area starting this weekend. City News Time, it's 12:31. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Business Lunch on City News, brought to you by the Ottawa Business Journal.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it is the OBJ Business Lunch. We talk all things business. We're going to talk about the business of football, CFL football, of course, with Chris Hoffley, Communications and Content Specialist at OSEG. Big game tonight. Chris is going to give us all of the details. And then we're going to head to Barrhaven. Daryl Bartraw is going to join us. He's the president of the Canada Day celebrations in Barrhaven. Always a big favorite. The whole community seems to come out to that one. He's going to give us all of the details there as well. Well, I'm thinking about the whole province of Ontario, so we wanted to get connected today with Minister Neil Lumsden. Hello, Minister.
Sam, how are you? I heard you talking about the Red Blacks and the Elks.
Yes, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, very exciting because both of them are trying to get a win.
Exactly. We were actually talking about that. We were thinking, who's going to come out at least? We need a win here in Ottawa, Neil. There's no two ways about it.
Oh, I know. It's great to have records, but it's not a great to have a record of who hasn't won at home in the longest period of time. And I both, as hard as it is for me to say Edmonton Elks, it's the Red Blacks and the Elks are tied in an area that no one wants to be in.
Absolutely. Of course, we know you as the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport, but many people remember the days, such as I, when you were on the field. Give us a sense of a little bit of your career in football.
Well, I've been a pretty lucky guy and been around organizations, and I say that both professionally and otherwise. I mean, at the University of Ottawa, my years there, we won a national championship. I almost don't want to say the date, but in 1975, and have that's just a couple. Sam, that's just a couple years.
Just a couple of years ago. It's all good, Neil.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I still have great connections with my teammates and coaches. My coach Don Gilbert, or our coach Don Gilbert, lives in Buffalo, and I talk to him on a regular basis. And the pride that he has with that group and what we accomplished at. I guess it's called U Ottawa now, and I obviously follow what's going on there pretty closely. And then I was lucky enough to play 10 years in the Canadian Football League, started in Toronto, and ended my career out of 10 years, most of it in Edmonton, for what was known at the time as the Edmonton Eskimos, and we won a few Grey Cups and had some fun out there, and special because my kids were born there, and again, great relationship still with my teammates, and it really, to me, it's as I said at the outset, Sam, I've been really lucky. It's not that everything has been perfect by any stretch, but boy, I've met some unbelievable people. And then the same when I got into sports management and business. I was president general manager of the Tar-Cats for a number of years, and we won a Grey Cup. Went to a Grey Cup and lost it in 98 and then won one in 99. And happy to say it's the last, and I tell those at the Tar-Cats now that I still know pretty well, the last time they won a Grey Cup was 1999. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah. And it's funny, as long as we're throwing dates out, I'm going to throw a date out. But it was about mid-90s when you and I met. I was actually doing a bit of work with Jim Durrell and the Ottawa Rough Riders back in the day.
Yeah.
And so to have you on today in your role as Ontario's Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport, very cool moment for me. Let's talk a little bit about this province and how we're celebrating Canada Day. Give us a sense of what you're seeing across the province.
Well, Sam, the first part, and I do remember us meeting, and it's great to reconnect with you today. And it's been a year and a bit now that I've been involved in this ministry, and I had the opportunity early to get out and do some tours, spent some time in Ottawa. I've been way up north, Manitoulin Island, been around as much as I possibly could. And of course, that's when things weren't great with respect to coming out of the pandemic. I was so impressed, and I guess this is sort of the business piece of me, that I wasn't seeing people come up and saying, "Oh, yeah, you need to give us more money," or "Thanks what you've done, but we need to give more." I probably 9 times out of 10, those that I talked to, whether it was the RTOs or the people in business themselves, because we talked to a lot of those businesses or those people as well, that they were saying, "Here's our plan. This is what we're going to do. Here's where we've come from. Here's where we're going. We really appreciate the funding that you've been able to get, whether it's through Experience Ontario for festivals and events that used to be called Reconnect, or it was the COVID funding." Now, those things stop as, the COVID funding piece. But they all were, it's all, in many cases, you find out how good you are when things get tough, no matter what it is in life. And I saw an awful lot of operators in the tourism industry go through a hard time and come out the other side saying, we're better because we were forced to think differently, to do things differently. And as a result, now that we're back to, let's call it normal, my business has the ability to do more, which drives more revenue, which makes us stronger.
Right.
So those kinds of conversations, Sam, honestly, it just, I smile when I hear people talk about it, and I hear it on a consistent basis. So the one, and I don't want to jump away from the event side of it, but I'd like to throw in too, and to that point, I've spoken with and since sent a letter to the Honorable Randy Boissonneau, the Federal Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance. Wonderful guy. He's an Alberta guy. So we connected immediately, and I've spoken with him and asked him to really, really think hard with his colleagues about taking and extending that debt of repayment to not the end of this year, but one more year.
Oh, yes.
To give everyone just more breathing room and an opportunity not to everyone exhale and say, oh, we're back on our feet, and then all of a sudden have to repay a certain amount as a result of whether it was the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund, the Canada Emergency Business Account, the highly affected sectors that, got loans. We want them to be able to breathe a little bit easier and get a better footing under themselves. Just like in sport, the more stable you are in football is based on where your feet and your hips are. And we want the tourism industry to be in the position to be able to strike with strength and not have to worry about having to repay that debt immediately just when they get back to the point where they're saying, okay, we feel good about it. So I'm hoping Minister Boissonneau is listening and thinking about it the way I am, because I think it would be a great thing to do.
I have to tell you, you've made my whole day that you've even talked about that. I was really hoping that a decision was going to be made before we went off on and the House rose, to be honest, regarding that particular file, because there's a lot of stressed out business people in this country, and they're laying awake at night thinking about the $40,000 or the $60,000, and I can't imagine what that kind of pressure is like. So thank you for standing up for those business owners.
Well, not a problem, because I was a business owner. I had my own agency for event and strategic planning, and I get it. I mean, we ran large events. We created large events. And I know when things were tough, if I had and I never had to worry about servicing a debt in the business. I mean, because you find your revenue, and I joke about it now, and I never thought about going to the Ontario government for a grant ever.
Right.
And that's on me. But think in terms of saying, okay, so if I was back doing that now, and I was able to get out of it, and I had a $50,000 bill that had to be paid in a few months, when I'm just getting back on my feet, how tough would that be, and what kind of pressures I would feel that would be different than they would have been before, but still pressure on the businesses, where a little bit extra time allows people to get, and to me, and I think you'll agree that pushing it off or protracting the repayment another 12 months after the end of this year only makes the industry stronger.
Agree.
In the long term. And the stronger this industry is, I mean, the GDP that's driven by tourism is staggering.
Yeah.
Right across the province and across the country. So it's, to me, it's a smart move. And Minister Boissonnault, let's go. Let's get in the horse and make this happen.
Yeah. I hope he's listening right now, Neil. So, Minister Lumsden, let me ask you this. We think about tourism. We tend to think about Niagara Falls, Toronto, Ottawa. We may think about sort of those bigger attractions. But a lot of these small towns really rely on us as well. I think about places like Brockville, for instance. They just had a butter tart festival, I think, in Milton. I mean, all of those. You had me at butter tart, by the way. But all of those. All of those small towns rely on tourism as well.
Yeah, no question about it, and it's really a soup to nuts. And from what they have to offer, one of our programs, it used to be called Reconnect, and it's now been changed since we're back to normal Experience Ontario, and that is all about funding for small events and festivals, and in communities, more than one day events, by the way. So it's other than Canada Day opportunities. So those are the people that work real hard at finding the opportunities and driving and hoping people come, whether it's, regardless of what it is. And there's hundreds of them out there. And again, back to the point, not trying to, kick a rock too many times, but that's where this whole debt relief and the extension of it would make so much sense to, the bigger companies. And I'm not saying it's okay for them, because I think it's about 50% of the tourism industry is looking for that extension. But it makes it easier for everybody, but especially the ones in the small towns and communities that maybe have 2 or 3 events a year, and that's the bread and butter. Yeah. And they need to be able to do it. And so, I'm with you on that. We need to, that's what sort of Experience Ontario is really all about.
For sure. Can we talk a little Blues Fest for a minute? Because I'm a big fan, of course, July 6th to the 16th. Right. A festival like that, it's really become the cornerstone of summer. I mean, there's people that volunteer at Blues Fest. They take their holidays to coincide with that so they can volunteer. It takes a village to put that on. But the drive, the economic, driver there for the Ottawa area is huge, Neil.
Oh, it is huge, and I'm going to be up in Ottawa for part of that and for the rugby tournament. I think it's called the Pac 4, which is on the 8th, and I'm going to be there for a game. And that day, I'm going to be at Blues Fest. It's amazing, and I'll just sort of segue into the volunteer because you brought it up, Sam. That a lot of these events don't happen if there aren't volunteers, and takes me back to when I was involved with the Running World Cycling in 2003, which is a world event, huge in Hamilton. But we had 4,500 volunteers, and the event couldn't have happened if you don't have the volunteers. A lot of this stuff never happens, right? Whether it's Sound of Music in Burlington or Blues Fest, they don't happen unless you have those volunteers. And the passion that the community has around and understanding that an event like that and what it does and how it, it's a little bit like an updraft, right? It brings everybody along with them, not only financially and money back into the community, but emotionally and spiritually and momentum and making feel people good as they should feel. Now, Canada Day will be done when that starts, but we should feel and be proud of being Canadians and what we accomplished, whether it's running events, a Blues Fest, a football game, World Cycling, whatever, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And take much more pride in who we are and what we accomplished, because I don't think we brag enough as Canadians. I really don't. We can do anything as well as anybody on the planet, no matter what the industry, sport, tourism, heritage, it doesn't matter. We're as good as anybody doing anything.
For sure. Well, when you head to Ottawa, of course, you've got the highlight of Blues Fest and you've got the highlight of rugby. If you want a third highlight, you can come into the studio here at City News and hang out with me.
All right, I'll do that. Is this an official invitation?
Official invitation, Minister. Absolutely.
Okay, I am writing that down right now.
That's
We're
awesome.
going to connect with you.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, I'll be there on the Friday afternoon, which I think is the 7th.
Great. Yeah, happy to have you in.
Connecting with Steve Ball and...
Yeah, Steve Ball's a great guy. He comes on the show so much, of course, from the Hotel Association, Ottawa-Gatineau Hotel Association. He was just on giving us numbers about the hotel bookings, and he was saying, he was really hoping this week the weather was going to look good because those last-minute bookings would be coming in. So he's been invaluable in our show as well.
Oh, and he's a wonderful guy. And I've known him a long time when I was living in Ottawa. He and I became pretty good friends and golfing buddies. And Mark Gowdy, I'll be seeing him and from OSEG. And, I really enjoy coming back. But let's get back to you and I for a second here. That's what this is all about, Sam.
For sure.
You and I.
For sure. No, it'd be great to have you in studio because we're not only on City News, Minister, we're also on Rogers TV. So everybody could get a look at us together here in the studio.
Damn, what a great idea.
Yeah, there you go.
How much time can we go an hour?
We can go half an hour. Our producers will let us go a half an hour. We'll do that together. Sound good?
Deal.
That sounds great.
We will call you.
That sounds wonderful. Minister Neil Lumsden, thanks so much for spending time with us heading into this Canada Day weekend. Ontario's Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport. Happy Canada Day, Neil.
You too, Sam. All the best.
Thank you so much. When we come back, we're heading to Barrhaven. We love a good road trip here on City News. Lock it in. Stay with us, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
He fell. Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Beer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Oh, you can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Hi, I'm Paula Roy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back into my kitchen for another season of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. My approach to food is pretty straightforward. Fancy is fine, but when you're in a time crunch or have a really hungry and patient family to feed, I say simple recipes made with wholesome ingredients that you probably have on hand are the best. And that's exactly what you'll find on Paula Roy's Favorite Foods on Rogers TV.
Are you low on food? Struggling to pay the bills? Overwhelmed by life's challenges? When you need support but don't know where to turn, just dial 211. 211 connects you to the programs or services near you.
211, how can I help you?
211, help starts here.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20.
We're on the line for $20.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Tomorrow is Canada Day, and I don't have to tell Daryl Bartraw that twice. He's the president of the Canada Day celebrations in Barrhaven. Happy Canada Day, Daryl.
Hey, how are you, Sam?
Great to spend time with you today. You're getting ready for the big celebration in Barrhaven. What do you have in store for us, Daryl?
Well, we started last night with our Midway. Tonight we have our Midway and country music night from 4 o'clock until 11 o'clock tonight. In fact, one of our artists is on the stage now and doing their sound checks. So you might hear in the background once she starts up again.
That's awesome. And Daryl, so much goes into this. I think your website really does say it all of the different partners that you have involved to make this day special. And tomorrow you're going to just have different event after event. You've got Vendor Village and the multicultural stage and, of course, those fireworks. Give us a sense of what we've got in store for all of the residents of Barrhaven and those that come to celebrate.
Yeah, we open to everybody. We have not only residents of Barrhaven, we get people that come from all over Ottawa because they know how much fun our event is. So we start tomorrow morning at 8:30 till 9:30. We have a free seniors breakfast, and they have pancakes and sausages and fruit and vixens. And then at 11 o'clock, our show really starts. We open up our kids zone, which is 3 different things. We have a craft for the kids. This is all for the younger kids. And there's a stage, kids zone stage with puppets and magicians and lots of fun on that stage. Our multicultural stage has about 20 different acts that go until 4 o'clock, and they're song and dance in all different cultures with their costumes. It looks really amazing. This year we have 14 food trucks, so all different kinds of food you can think of, and I've been sampling them just to make sure they're okay, and they seem to be so far all excellent stuff.
Good stuff.
So
That's
this goes on all day, and the Midway's 4 days long. And then on Sunday, we have a classic car show. So it's going to be a whole lot of cars here from years gone by, back, I guess, my day. And we're looking forward to that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And on Canada Day, our big shows start at 4 o'clock. We have our ceremonial speeches by our dignitaries. We got some special guests coming out to that we're very excited about. And after that, we have an Indigenous show, and that's, again, song and dance and interactive with the crowd. And after that, we have Monkey Rock Music, which is an amazing band for the younger people. And then our night gets very starry. We got Starfire, a local band, amazing old music. And then our headliner from Montreal, Star 80, finishes it off from 8 until 10 o'clock. And they stop at 10, then the fireworks start, and it's a ginormous fireworks display done by the same people that do the Parliament Hill fireworks and the big fireworks display at the museum. $15,000 worth going up in smoke.
Wow, incredible. So we're good for fireworks, right? We know we've had some fire bans and that type of thing, but you've gotten the go ahead for fireworks then.
Absolutely, we've got these guys are the most professional people in Canada. They win the awards everywhere, and they work in conjunction with our Ottawa Fire Department, and the fire department, as they are every year. The fire department are right on site where the fireworks go off, and they're ready for it. It's very controlled, so there's really no concerns on that.
Well, I wish you all the best, Daryl, as you head into this incredible Canada Day weekend. I know how hard you work, you and your team, to pull all of this together. So wishing you the best Canada Day as we turn 156 years old.
Wild, yeah.
Wild. I'm feeling
Thank you very much, Sam. I hope you have a great Canada Day.
Absolutely. On another note, I'm feeling 156 today, Daryl. But
you're not looking it.
Oh, you're very sweet. Daryl Bartraud joining us today, president of Canada Day in Barrhaven. We know there's a big game tonight, so we wanted to get caught up with Chris Hoffley, communications and content specialist at OSEG. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Sam. Great to talk to you.
I know it's a very busy day, so thanks for taking a couple of minutes to talk about our Red Blacks hitting the field tonight. Are we going to get a win tonight, Chris?
That's the plan. I mean, it's always the plan. Obviously, a tough start, 0-2 to get the season underway here, but the team's feeling good. We're playing an Edmonton team that also has had some of their own struggles in the last few games, so it should be two hungry teams that are both chomping at the bit to get a victory here, but the plan is for the good guys to come out on the right side of this one. So
there you go. I love it. And you know, just the night before Canada Day, I mean, there's just, you know, in the capital, it's kind of romantic, Chris, that maybe we get a win tonight and everyone goes to celebrate. Are there still some tickets left?
There are, absolutely. There's some great tickets left. They'll be obviously on sale right up until kickoff. So come out. It is our special Canada Day game today. So we're encouraging our fans to wear red. Do the whole patriotic thing, wear your Maple Leafs, get your Canada Maple Leaf stickers on, and come out and just be a proud Canadian watching a Canadian Football League game. It's going to be great. We're going to have fireworks as well post-game for fans while they're leaving the place on the field. So it's going to be a party as always. And again, hoping to end that party with a big W.
Oh, absolutely. And Chris, I just find the Red Blacks are just doing such a great job at entertaining people. We're always, of course, looking for those W's, but it's always a good time. I was saying to somebody, when I don't go to a game, about 11 o'clock on game night, I feel like I'm the only person that wasn't at the game, because it seems like every one of my friends is there celebrating, and they're bumping into people they haven't seen in a long time. It really has become very special to people here in Ottawa.
Yeah, it's really become a kind of community gathering point, which was always the goal when we brought this team back and revamped TV Place. And the way even the stadium is built, you can sit in your seats or you can watch it from a whole bunch of different standing room areas, and that's where people really run into their friends. Have a drink with people you didn't go to the game with, end up spending some of the rest of the night with them, and you end up seeing people you haven't seen in years, people from the city, friends, family, everybody's there, and that's what we're planning for again tonight. And it's great to see so many people fired up to see this team. And on and off the field, this team is doing great things. We're so focused on doing things in the Ottawa community, and obviously football and winning games is the priority, but these guys are really passionate about doing good things for Ottawa, and we see that on the regular.
Well, that sounds great. Thanks for joining us today, and happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day to you.
Chris Hoffley joining us, communications and content specialist at OSEG. And happy Canada Day to all of our listeners here at City News and those viewers as well on Rogers TV. We couldn't do what we do every single day without you, so we appreciate it very much. We have a very special Canada Day show tomorrow. I hope you can tune in as you're making your way around the city and celebrating this beautiful country. We're going to be back on Tuesday. We're going to take Monday off, but we'll be ready to go on Tuesday. Our team here at City News is getting ready to bring you the news of the afternoon. Lock it in to City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.
Tune in again for local news and community views on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.